Welp, my chili stand is officially open for business here on Route 66. Hope I get some customers soon. This chili is getting room temperature. Oh, what do we have here? My very first customer pulling up right now.
Did you say cowboy riding a horse on the bed of a truck?
No.
Then allow me. What you're looking at now is a cowboy riding a horse in the bed of a truck, which is completely normal by Route 66 standards. I'm the head of the Route 66 Preservation Society. You must be new around here.
Yep, just opened up today. Chili Spot. That's the name. Came to me in a dream. A dream about a spot where one could eat chili.
Chili Spot. I'm sorry, but as the head of the society, I'm afraid that name simply will not do.
What's wrong with it?
It's just not kitschy enough. If I'm driving down the Mother Road embodying the American spirit, and that patriotic New World sun is giving me a thirst for chili, a name like that just isn't going to pull me in. It's a disgrace to the entire attitude of the route.
Holy smokes, I didn't mean to offend the route.
Well, you did. And when you offend Route 66, you offend every dinosaur gas station, every hotel that appropriates Native American culture, and every malfunctioning neon sign that all somehow seem to spell out "butt hungry" between here and the end of the world. Chicago.
Well, I guess it is kind of plain. What about Earl's Chili? No. Maybe something a little edgier. $4 for a bowl of chili. That's what I'll call it. No, I can't call it that. Ooh, Chili's.
No, it's not kitschy enough. How about Netflix and chili? Or maybe bring in some Route 66 star power. What if you called it Picture of Marilyn Monroe playing pool with James Dean and Dennis Hopper's Chili Extravaganza? And one other thing, why is your building shape so funny? What are those four pointy things on the sides?
Corners?
Well, it makes it shaped all funny, like a box or something. But you don't sell boxes here. It should be shaped like a kidney bean or a bowl or a chef sweating over a pot of chili, his son tugging on his apron, begging him to come home, but the chef refusing, saying, "My customers mean more to me than you do, son. You'll have to turn 10 another day." You should make your restaurant shaped like that.
But I just wanted a humble little stand to serve chili out of. I don't want to make a spectacle.
Yeah, about that. The inside is all wrong. Where's the giant emblem of Route 66 on the floor when you walk in? How come I can still see wall? It should be covered in rusty old junk and I Love Lucy lunchboxes. Where's the jukebox that only plays Buddy Holly?
Excuse me, sir. My chili speaks for itself.
This guy gonna place an order or what?
What in tarnation?
Oh, this is my chili mule. He's a mule made of chili.
Well, golly, sir. It is an honor and a privilege. But as head of the Preservation Society, you gotta chain that thing up and market it as a roadside attraction.
No. He's real shy. He's a behind-the-scenes guy.
Oh, come now. We're all a little shy, but we're not all made of chili. Now go on and get out front. I'll get the shackles.
You know what? You're right. This place needs some razzle-dazzle. I'll get working turning our facade into a bowl right away. That's thanks for your advice.
Forget the bowl. Let's get this affront to God out front for the world to see.
No, I can't. It's just not. It's not right.
It is right, because it makes money. Come on.
No, I won't.
Why not?
Because he's a kid killer.
You son of a bitch. I thought I smelled something fishy, and it's not that fish restaurant shaped like a fish. You see this novelty Lone Ranger badge? It means that here on Route 66, I'm the law. And the law says no kid killers can own a chili restaurant.
Busted again. Guess this is the end of the line for us.
He's bluffing. That's a cap gun. I could see the orange ring.
Cap gun it may be, but there's one real bullet in here, and I got 6 shots.
Run, Chili the Kid! Don't look back!
Ooh, it's a 12-shooter. He's too far away. I'll save my last bullet for when I get lonely. He's gone anyway. He's Route 67's problem now.
We were just trying to start a new life here on Route 66, and you had to ride over here on your high horse that was made even higher because it was on a truck. Who are you to tell us what's right and what's wrong?
Well, that may be, but
I forgot my valise.
You killed him!
Sure did. Now, rule of the route. Your friend hits the dirt, you gotta eat him. Now get to slurping. And make sure you get an Elvis-shaped mailbox put out front here. Good luck with your new business. Welcome to the neighborhood.
Chili the Kid, I'm sorry, friend. I'm sorry. And so goes the tale of the lonesome grave of Chili the Kid. Don't forget to stop on your way out of LA. Bring the kids. Open 24 hours a day, 7 days full of chili. Yeehaw! Hi, and welcome to another episode of LA Meekly, the podcast I don't have you saying, are you still outside? You're still outside.
Well, here's the question I asked for you. Are you all still outside? Because I've seen your TikToks. I've just been waiting to bring up TikTok. I just learned what TikTok
You
is.
have been, like, pacing the garage, being like, TikTok, and they want me to dance. I'm not going to dance. You dance.
I only have 6 seconds to dance. How can I do that?
How do I join a K-pop band?
In 6 seconds or less, which is my new TikTok video.
I can't wait till your wife makes you do TikTok.
Yeah, my 12-year-old wife is going to make me. Come on, Dada.
Clearly don't know enough about TikTok.
But Pa, wear this panda head and cook a waffle. It's TikTok.
You sound like someone who's heard of the internet but never been on it.
I mean, I go to very specific parts of the internet. I'm not getting into details of what those specific parts are, but let's just say the FBI is listening.
I know about TikTok and how to make things TikTok.
TikTok, that's that firework making website, right? that firework.
The
I
one
can
that all
bring
the Batman villains are raving about.
Well, what is it? It's August now.
Yeah, it's August.
Oh, hi, I'm Daniel Zaffron.
I'm Greg Gonzalez, and this is August 1st, 2020.
And that's been yet another episode of August 1st. August Rush.
Is that a thing?
Remember that movie?
No.
I think it had Robin Williams in it. I think it was about a little boy who played guitar. He would have been great on TikTok. That movie was way ahead of its time.
I know the band Rush. Does that get me close?
Yeah, it's the later years of Rush.
The August of their life?
Yeah, a Russian August. A Russian winter. A Russian winter. Wordplay.
That's all I'm good at. That's you talking, not me.
Those are the only skills I've been practicing during
Word
quarantine.
associations.
So first off, let's welcome our new Patreon.
Oh, yeah, please.
Let's welcome the serfs that listen to us, the no good nicks that don't
When
give
we
us
say
money.
peasants, it's not a derogatory word. That's just... You're at the bottom.
That's just the way it is.
You farm mostly. We eat turkey legs.
Old
you raise
and
the turkeys. We eat turkey legs in the high tower. There's no distinction. We're all the same.
But you don't get to eat. So
And eating for you is a celebration. Go ahead.
you get to eat 3 times a year. But we want to welcome our new Patreon supporters.
Okay.
We've got now Tyler C. Peterson.
Hi, Tyler.
Definitely not a serf. And we've also got Alberto Sistos.
Alberto, he's a certain musician of renown.
He's on TikTok, isn't
He's
he?
on TikTok.
He's a regular
he's
August
the reason
Rush.
Why TikTok's so popular?
He did the theme song to the podcast, and now there's a whole lawsuit. He's trying to sue us to get the rights to that. But anyway, the court ordered him to subscribe to us on Patreon, so we get his money.
He was part of your wedding party, and I was telling our good friends Chris and Cindy and Ada that I was so mad because he's so naturally funny and so casually knocks things out of the park, has no need to be a comedian. He doesn't have that thing in him where it's like, everyone has to hear this. He's just like funny for the sake of being funny.
He's one of that whole group of friends that like everyone in that group is like that, and I love it, and it also makes me furious. Like, none of you are trying as hard as me, but you're all way funnier than I'll ever be.
You know, you have that disease. You don't have the disease that I have, where I have to show everybody how funny I am.
You just do show everybody. I have to, and they don't. Sometimes, all the times, they just don't quite get it. Need I remind you, August Rush. So yeah, those are our new Patreon people.
I'm sure Tyler's very funny too.
Oh no, Tyler's not part
Tyler.
of that group.
No,
he's a glorified peasant.
Sure, very funny.
I'm sure he could host this, but
yeah,
better than one of us could, not me.
One of us not gonna. Who is the person who always leaves something for the last second and never does research to the full? Is it that one?
So before we get into August,
yes,
August Rush.
You have to stop saying it because I don't know what that means.
It's a movie that nobody should remember,
and you keep rattling it off like you're selling stock in it.
Look,
did someone say August Rush?
I finally got a Schwab account, and I know that August Rush bagosh is going up. I know it's coming back.
I'm gonna get those cute little denim overalls for my son.
When all this is over and suddenly we don't have to wear masks anymore, you're gonna want to wear overalls.
I have really come to love the phrase. At first, the phrase was in these trying times or these challenges. Now, like when this is all over, is now my new favorite thing because it's not going to be over. We're all going to be dead by the time it's over.
Remember how we thought this would be done in like 3 months?
I was talking to Ada last night about that. How I thought it was going to be 2 weeks at the most, and now it's 4 months, and we're clearly
only
gonna
getting
be
worse.
Yeah, clearly it's going to be till next March.
And even then, it was like, well, we just need a vaccine. And now it's like, well, the vaccine might kill you, but it also is going to take like 6 months to get enough to kill you.
I mean, you're going to want to rush to get the vaccine. The thing about it is it's a more excruciating death than COVID-19. But you're going to want to get it.
It cures COVID-19. It gives you... You were the one saying it gives you polio. I was going to say it gives you the bubonic plague.
You always have to up me, don't you?
Yeah, because
Did you say chickenpox?
I'm not Alberto. Alberto would never one-up you because he's always on the top.
Yeah, he doesn't have to one-up anybody. It's like we're playing that game where you put your hand over the bat, like one hand on top of the other one, but his hand is already on top.
Yeah,
and
he's the bat.
He's the bat, yeah.
The Batman. TikTok, Batman, TikTok.
Stop word association. It's just not.
So let's talk about in the last month. What did you...
What was the
what
last
did you do in
month?
July.
Oh.
Wait, was it? Yeah, July. We're in it still.
Jeez.
This month is July.
Did I do anything? I drove to Mount Wilson
Really?
the first time. Yeah.
Really? How long did that take?
It took like an hour and some change. It was a really nice drive. I was listening to podcasts that
there
weren't mine,
snow?
so obviously it was a nice drive.
That was rude, but was there snow up there?
No, but I could see how it would. I was so high up in the air. Frighteningly high up in the air. Ooh, baby. Ooh, I feel jazzed now.
That was a bong I was making a noise of.
This is not what that sounds like. It sounds like an anteater let loose.
I've listened to Snoop Dogg.
I've seen dudes where's my car.
Dudes who's misplaced my automobile.
Yeah, I drove to Mount Wilson. It was all like caged off, so it was just like a nice drive. It's one of those places where like there's no way that at the end of this wiggly drive I'll be back in La Crescenta. Yeah. There's no way that this is attached to a freeway that runs by my house.
Do you think if you drove up there in the snow it would be dangerous?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know, but it's pretty high up in the air, and the roads are like really curvy. So I think that I always worry about that with snow. I always worry about curves. I can't handle curves.
I like a nice svelte road.
And then on my way down, I was really like I had driven up. I was listening to Stephen Colbert talk, so I was just like at peace with myself. I love long drives. They like really help my brain feel like I'm moving, but I'm not doing anything too extraneous. So like a long drive, listening to Stephen Colbert, I felt so good. And I turned the corner, and a brush fire had just broke out. And I thought, oh no. And I tried to call 911 to get the fire department, and I had no signal because I was up in the hills. And I was like, I could put it out myself. And then I heard sirens. So after I was done taking pictures, I left.
So finally, I can use this sand.
Maybe if I throw brush on it, it'll help.
All this lighter fluid might put it out. TikTok, Batman. You could have used your walkie-talkie to...
I could have... I didn't have... So I thought it would be a pretty funny idea to buy me and Daniel walkie-talkies.
And was it funny?
In theory, like, on paper, it's pretty funny. Like,
it was really funny.
I would have loved to be... Because I mailed you yours, and I didn't tell you what was coming. And I would have liked to see your face when you opened it and saw a walkie-talkie. What I really wanted was for you to open the mail and signal to me that you had your walkie-talkie. Because we can't do that.
Well, first off, we have in our heads the idea of, like, he has a walkie-talkie, I have a walkie-talkie. We're the only two people with walkie-talkies.
Oh my God,
just press a button and we're talking to each other. But there's like 400 sub-channels that you can go into.
Channel 22, I'll find a way to put that onto our Instagram, but Channel 22 is a party. It's a real party of like incels and weird dudes.
We don't know if we're getting the same Channel 22, because whenever you listen, they're talking about the Dodgers, and whenever I listen, they're making fun of Mexican people.
Hey, you can like the Dodgers and still make fun of Mexican people. Just ask anybody in Los Angeles. They're not exclusive.
There's a Venn diagram in the city. It's called La Crescenta, but it's like listening to Art Bell. Like Melissa said, this is like, because they were going on about like alien conspiracy theories and like booby trapping your house and
talk about the smartest man in the world.
There was one guy on it who was explaining, dare I say mansplaining, about like, you see, in the 80s we were afraid of Russians. And then he was saying, well, there was this guy, Stephen Hawking, and he was like the smartest guy in the world. Now there's this other guy. He's the new smartest guy in the world. And I looked him up. He's the guy from Ancient Aliens. It's really entertaining because we take these crazy long walks all the time. And like halfway through, we're like, well, I have nothing else to say to you. So then we'll turn on Channel 22 on the walkie-talkie and listen to these people.
I feel. Have you ever read the short story "Enormous Radio" from John Cheever?
No. Is it sexy though?
It could easily de-evolve it. What am I listening to?
I think that Elon Musk is launching something. What is that?
Scared.
What is that?
It's a trash truck, but it blended with the sound of a plane, so it sounds like a plane is landing.
It sounds like one of the simulator things at the Science Center.
Right, yeah. This is what it's like to get cut up into airplane propellers.
This is what it's like to be the guy that Indiana Jones punched.
Anyways, this couple gets a radio, and they can hear the abuse happening in the apartment across, and she keeps saying, we have to stop it, and he's like, there's no way to stop it. And she's like, you have to let it go. And she's like, how can I let it go? I feel like I gave that to you as a present.
You did.
Yeah.
What I really want to hear is you, and what I'm getting is people talking about element 115 or whatever they have to talk about.
I don't know why I thought that walkie-talkies would work in Echo Park when I, for years, couldn't get cell phone coverage. And
This is better.
Internet
Trust
companies were literally telling me, I would call like internet companies that were in AT&T, and they're like, oh, you got to go to this other company. There's no way that we can cover that area. You're at the bottom of 3 hills. And I don't know why I thought, but a walkie-talkie.
Unlock your mind, Greg. Listen to Channel 22. You're not being capped by Verizon here. I still think we could get it working.
I bet there's a way to hotwire it.
Because there's the extender button, and I think if I stand on top of a hill...
Mm-hmm. If I go to the top of Baxter, I think
if you're on the top of Baxter and I'm way up above Ventura Boulevard and we're both naked and it's a full moon, I think it could work.
I think it'll work.
I think we can make this work.
I think if we get enough foil around our heads, we can get it to work.
If we just pave the streets with foil.
You read my short story.
You read my manifesto. So my thing of the month is not nearly as I was thinking of making the walkie-talkies the thing of the month, but the only thing I've had contact with really is HCIDLA, which is the Housing and Community Investment Department of Los Angeles.
Right.
Because as listeners, loyal listeners of the show will know that I've been manipulated and taken advantage of by my landlord for over a year now. And I've had to contact the HCIDLA so many times, like, is this legal? Is this legal?
Oh my God.
And they actually, like, a lot of times they can't really help, but lately when there were things about the landlord trying to raise rent during coronavirus and all this stuff, and I called them, like, what are they allowed to do? What are they not allowed to do? And they were really helpful. Like, when you send in an online form, it's not helpful at all.
Yeah.
But when you get them on the phone, they're very helpful if you're having any issues with your landlord or anything like that.
That's good to know, especially people now. We're on the brink of going to complete war with landlords now, landowners.
Oh my God. If that's the civil war we've been leading up to, give me my walkie-talkie and my trusty epee.
I've been slowly buying piece-by-piece riot gear over the last couple months. I'm ready to go to war with whatever thing is outside my door. I'm ready to get beaten up by.
You should listen to Channel 22. You might want to think about booby trapping your home. But yeah, you can also, if there's any problems, you can report them to them, which it's always something like, you can report this, and I'm always too scared to actually report it. But if you really have to, they'll do it and they'll enforce it.
That's good to know.
Yeah, it's good to have someone on your side.
Sorry, I'm not yawning because your story's boring. You didn't actually do anything this month.
Suddenly, I'm not talking about playthings that you mailed to me, but
no, they should definitely cancel rent. Go ahead.
What? Me as a landlord? I'm a double agent. That was July. Let's get into August with our listener question.
Right.
Did I mention August Rush already?
The movie.
Now on DVD. The DVD sales are soaring. This one is another one from Amelia Uranga on
the third
Instagram.
host of our show.
Yeah. He's the New York City of the show. So his question, again, is what's your favorite intro and what's your least favorite intro? Which I was scared to ask you this because I knew you were going to give me some snarky answer.
Is it snarky when I'm being honest? Let's do the least favorite first.
Okay, yeah, let's do least favorite. I came up with all of mine. I have the least favorite and then a runner-up.
I should have expected this from you.
Didn't get
you
my
categorized it and probably...
I learned Excel
here are my
just
favorite
for
lines.
this. It's funny you mentioned that.
Oh my God. I'm going to braid their hair.
Hang on, let me update the Excel sheet.
The magazine one... Shut up. The magazine one, I think it might be my least favorite.
That was... I was thinking about that one, too.
Yeah, that was one where I think that we had a first chunk, and then we spent 3 hours trying to come up with the next move, and then we went absurd. Like, what if it's just this crazy thing?
Yeah.
And then we were just so tired that we thought that was funny, and we moved forward instead of it being logical. So when you listen to it, it goes like part A, part B, part G. You're like, wait.
Part B, part letter in Cyrillic. Yeah, that was what I noticed with my least favorite ones was it was either ones where like we felt kind of rushed and we had to, like the one specifically I picked as my least favorite. I remember recording all of them, but I remember we like had somewhere to be and we had to go somewhere and we couldn't really come up with it. But then the other ones are like, we can't figure out how to end it or what exactly to do, and it gets too crazy.
And there's a lot of tags that like the very last joke ruins most of it. Like I think I love the parade one.
You're describing the new Twilight Zone. Go on.
I am. Yeah, the new Twilight Zones are perfect because they have the same problem with the original Twilight Zone. Is like near hits. That last button really sucks. Yeah. Anyways, you can talk about.
He's got a third eyeball.
The film one.
Yes,
that's the one where I had to go to work.
That's the one. My least favorite one was I wrote Boner Saw.
Boner Saw.
But yeah, that was my least favorite one.
That's one of the two that I
But
wrote
you know
down.
what? As I listened back to it, from the LA Movies episode,
Yeah.
I wrote, except for Unimpeach a Line,
Yeah.
Navigational Prowess, Button Fly becoming Button Flew, and Mary Had a Little Doctor. And then as I was listening all that, I was like, maybe I kind of like this one, but I don't think I do, because it was also based around a crude concept,
Yeah,
a
it
crass
was.
concept, and I kind of don't like that.
Yeah, you don't like crude. I remember Paul Stein sent us a message like, boy, what a stinker. And my reaction was like, people listen to the intro?
He said that?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I didn't know about that.
You did know about that because I read it to you and you're like, huh.
I guess I must have blacked out.
But I totally agree with them because it is clearly the worst
Yeah,
one.
that one's the worst one.
Yeah, but like when we did the episode that's just intros, even the ones that we like the least still have one or two lines.
That's what I'm finding.
We should just shout Boner Saw as an intro and then that be that.
If we could condense all of our intros into like 2 minutes,
Yeah.
you'd never stop laughing. But I have my runner-up as my least favorite one. It's the First Timers Hanky Panky.
Yeah, that's not great.
Yeah, from the Black Trailblazers episode. Except the line, "I'm slipping, I've slept."
Right, you like wordplay like that.
Everyone likes that. The intro starts to work kind of towards the end, I noticed.
There's a
everything
line in
leading
there
up-
that's like,
I'm slipping, I've slept.
I've never buried a body after killing a woman after laying pipe or something like that.
That's towards the end, and that's when it starts clicking. And
Right.
it's like, I've never killed someone after ripping her chest open and breaking
after
her
laying
bone.
pipe or something like that. It's a really stupid line, but I remember that's the. If you ask me about Hanky Panky, that's the only line that I remember because the rest of it's so dumb.
I think you should remember "I'm slipping, I've slept." What's your favorite one?
I wrote down 5 here.
I wrote down a few, and I was like, I can't pick more than 2,
Yeah.
and even that's pushing it.
So if I'm talking about what might be the most perfect one, I think it might be the roller coaster.
Yeah, you really like that one.
I do because I like lists, and it has one of the funniest comedic beats, which is like, there's too many foot fetishes out there, and there's just a perfect amount of time before I say, no, there aren't, and then like you cut me off right away, and then we call back to it later. Their feet
funny.
do dangle, and it's my job to touch all the feet.
That one's funny.
Yeah, I like
And it's also short, which is
it's
nice.
also incredibly short. It was easy to write because it was just a list of stupid stuff. Oh yeah, also like, don't shoot me like you shot those monkeys is really funny.
Some of them I listened back to, I'm like, what? Like, who wrote this?
So I think like the beginning to end, that one it works really well.
What are your other 4?
The cowboy one is my other favorite.
I know you like that cowboy one, and I like it too. The only problem with it is that it's very meta. It's like very related to us.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not something that like people who have never listened to this before would appreciate.
Yeah.
But it is really funny
It's
if
really
you know
funny.
us.
My favorite line from that is like the long list of stuff that the guy's gonna do to the Ally Makeley boys, and right in the middle is like, I'm gonna braid their hair. That was one where I remember specifically us cracking up.
Yeah, that was
writing
well.
it.
That
Like
was
the whole thing.
That was the one that the making of
Oh, that's
video is
right.
about. So you can watch some clips of
That's
us
right.
thinking we're so hilarious to each other.
and I look so tired in that video. The Disneyland
Yeah,
one's
that
really
video.
good.
Disneyland one is my runner-up. Disneyland
okay.
Escape.
Disneyland Escape
Yeah,
is
from
really
the Olympics
funny.
episode. I really like that one, but mostly because I remember we were going through in our heads the layout of
Yeah,
Disneyland
that's
so
right.
that we couldn't plan out like he's going to jump, he's going to swim through the Finding Nemo thing, jump over the moat. We
Yeah.
like planned it out so you could follow it through the park perfectly.
And then we had to switch hit Goofy.
The Goofy, yeah.
We had to switch at Goofy because I could do
You
one
couldn't
part
do
of
the
it. You could
Goofy
do the
laugh.
other.
Yeah. That's why we've stuck together for so long. You can do Goofy voice and I can do Goofy laugh.
The parade one is almost perfect if
Yeah,
it
what is
wasn't for
this
that last button.
What is the last part that you don't like? I don't
It's
remember.
about like, did you sleep with or did you incest my sister or something like that? Like it completely like makes a right turn for something we were like, we need to end this good, but like we could have just ended it.
Did you incest my sister?
Yeah, something like that.
Oh, I'm asking you.
Oh
Did-
yeah,
how
I mean, come on. What do you want to say?
How can I
In front
know?
of everybody? I think that maybe your best performance might be okay. The intro is not perfect. The Halloween episode, but it's the Candy Factory one.
Yeah.
I think that it didn't need to start where it started at because we have a whole like him finding the candy. Like it could have just started at the Candy Factory, but once we're at the Candy Factory, it's really funny.
With the Willy Wonka thing?
Yeah, with the Willy Wonka thing.
Interesting. I mean, I feel like I've delivered some powerhouse performances, but
No, I thought you did great in that one. It's not a perfect intro, but I thought your performance was solid.
yeah, I do too. I don't really remember what exactly happened inside of the.
I keep yelling at you, but you're like, "Oh, what the truth!" And you have like a really like the voice is really nervous and like, "Oh, I don't, yeah, oh." I'm like, "Hey, there better not be any whimsy here." And all this stuff is really old and dusty. It's like, "Oh, it's because I don't have any help here.
Yeah, I remember the Oompa Loompa thing.
It starts awful. It ends well, and the middle is really good.
This is my favorite one, but I like the candy god part of that one.
Right.
I like
of the
I like
one.
I like the alternate candy monster dimension.
Yeah, that's another one that like we have a whole thing, and yeah, the end of it's the best. The candy monster. Oh, the snakes. See, so many of them start so far before the funny we get to be funny. But when we're in the room with all the snakes, baby. It's pretty funny.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to learn anything from that.
Yeah, no.
From that critique. My favorite one is Baby Hitler.
You really do like Baby Hitler.
I really like. I think that's I think any chance I can get to kill Hitler in any possible form. But I think that's a solid raising Hitler from a baby until he's 18, so we could kill him because we love him too much. I think it's a good concept. Mm-hmm. I think there's maybe ones that are funnier, but I think that's a solid concept.
Yeah, for sure. And it's crazy that we're never going to do another one, but I think it's worth it. We'll probably spend that time writing real stuff that it can actually advance. The part of the episode everyone skips.
We'll spend that time writing my short story about Channel 22 on the radio. I want people to publicly support these intros just so you can shut up.
If someone's never heard of our podcast and they start and they hear an intro, they're like, no.
But then people skip it and get through it, and then they say no. First of all, support us verbally. Support us vocally on these intros, but also send us more listener questions, people.
Yeah.
I only have like 2 or 3 left.
I'll ask a question. You can write it down. We'll answer it later. Why do we still do intros?
Okay, so we need new questions. A car drove by. I couldn't hear what you were saying. So if you have a listener question you want us to answer, send it to us on Twitter at LA Meekly, Instagram LA_Meekly, or email us la.meekly@gmail.com. You've been eating Sour Patch Kids the entire time.
Not the entire
time. I was pulling my weight around here. I was doing
one?
Hard labor. Yeah, rub it around in the side of your cheek and then throw it into my mouth.
Wish I had candy too much for me to not eat candy.
Somebody say Baby Hitler. Okay, so
let's hold them in my arms.
Have you met Aiden? Have you met Aiden? So I'm slipping. I've slept. So let's get to this month's episode. It's August. The only way anyone can really travel right now. God, that's disgusting. Listening to you eat Sour Patch Kids in the microphone.
Let's try with walkie-talkies.
You go on top of Baxter and eat Sour Patch Kids. Maybe the sourness will supercharge the radio signals. The only way anyone can travel right now is by driving. Yeah. So I think we should do an episode on Route 66.
Oh my God. Are you pitching to me last month?
As if I'm creating a new angle to the show that we come up with it all on the spot.
Well, let me tell you a little bit about this little theater. I don't know if you've heard it before.
Yeah. Just reading the most scripted things and we're pretending like we're making it up. So did you see? Source number 2 says.
You hear about this? Anybody, you guys watching the news? I recently went down because me and my girlfriend are like obsessed with Route 66 stuff in California.
Yeah, I love Route 66
because she lives in she will stay in Victorville sometimes.
She protests in Victorville,
but Victorville was like Route 66 ran through Victorville, especially Old Town Victorville, which is like completely run down and scary now. But there's like a Route 66 museum which might close soon. But we're always trying to find like the patches in between San Bernardino and LA of Route 66, and we like to take it. But we took a trip to Amboy for the roadside sign. I forgot what it's called. Roy's Garage or Roy's Motel. It's a really cool neon sign.
Is that the one you sent me?
Yeah, that's the one I sent you. We went there, then we went through like Joshua Tree and everything. But like Route 66 is like a wonderful trip.
I like. Hang on. Why is everything louder than usual today?
What?
Why is everything louder than usual today?
Weekend, everyone's flying tomorrow.
Weekend. Yeah.
It's weekend, everyone's flying.
It's Monday. It's the weekend.
Oh my God, is it Monday?
It is Monday.
Oh
no!
I had to be at.
I'm late for work from home. So we thought we would do routes. We just came up with this. How about this? Route 66 in Los Angeles. That's what we wanted to cover because there's it started with me of like I want to talk about Galco's, and it was kind of based around that because Galco's is all like Route 66. You got to go to Galco's. Galco's not on Route 66 or even that close to Route 66.
Never went through there.
Yeah. So the other things though, there's some things on mine at least that are like, oh yeah, that's pretty Route 66. But then there's some that are like, anything on Santa Monica Boulevard is going to be Route 66.
Yeah.
And there's also so many different permutations of the route in Los Angeles that it gave so much leeway of like, we could cover anything really. Here, let me get into the route itself because it's really confusing how it was in Los Angeles. And I went through at least 2 websites trying to explain it to me. It's really confusing all the different things because there was like simultaneous Route 66s and like alternate routes of 666. Let's first this is all spontaneous. First give a little history of what Route 66 is.
Just off the top of my head.
Mainly off the dome as they say on TikTok. Mainly to explain to our international listeners who are so unfortunately un-American and embarrassingly free of coronavirus and might not be familiar with Route 66. But also I didn't really know anything anything about it except the song, and it was the only road that I'd ever get on a motorcycle for. And those are the two things I've always
You
had.
didn't know that it was the one route in between
I knew
like the
that.
East Coast and the West Coast?
But it's not even the East Coast, it's just Chicago.
Which I think is the East Coast. I consider that sounds far.
You're going to Phoenix? Wow, is it snow in the East Coast?
Send me a letter from that ocean.
Is that a new Dutch settlement? I know it exists, but I don't know. The Los Angeles part of it, it's so confusing. I think I figured it out. I think I got it. By that I mean I read 2 articles by people who did figure it out. In the early 1900s, the U.S. was just a viney mess of just different roads and paths, but there was no cohesive road that connected the two sides of the country, which was becoming more necessary because in 1010, I assume that's 1910, my computer had a Y2K in the middle of this. In binary, there were 500,000 cars in the country in 1910, but by 1920 there were almost 10 million cars.
Henry Ford just working hard.
Just working hard to bring back baby Hitler. Bring back. He was baby Hitler.
I know that I'm like 31, but can you get a baby version of me?
For this reason, in 1914, the National Old Trails Road was created that ran from New York City to Los Angeles. That's the East Coast,
New York? There's an ocean there?
There's a New York?
You mean Yorkshire, right?
This ocean thoroughfare, they called it. It went across the country and arrived. Wow, you just finished a beer and crushed it on your head. It arrived into town via Foothill Boulevard, and it ended up at the close enough to Los Angeles part of town of Alhambra at Huntington Drive. So that's where the old National Old Trails Road, it sort of ended. So this quaint route existed for a little over a decade before the route system started developing, and some people started calling for a more polished cross-country road. Which
Cars couldn't brake on it because it's so polished.
It's Bullet. They tried filming Bullet on it, and Steve McQueen died 3 times. I just watched the movie, so I know the trivia. He's dead 4 times over. They wanted this new polished, like a nice cross-country road, a road that could accommodate more wallets and disposable income.
How's my wallet supposed to fit on this road?
I mean, where's the lane for my bank account to drive down and get emptied on every single exit? A guy named Cyrus Avery, who was an Oklahoma real estate mogul, he started pushing for a new route that would get more people coming through Oklahoma so that he could sell more real estate. But this new route would go, instead of of New York City, that's abbreviated NYC, to LA, it's abbreviated Los Angeles.
Louisiana.
From New York City, Louisiana. So instead of going from New York City to Los Angeles, it would go instead from Chicago, to Los Angeles. But the old National Old Trails Road was already there. It would mostly just follow that same path since it was already kind of a road towards Los Angeles.
It would just be the same path? Renamed?
For most of it, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I think they tweaked a few things to get, like, I've got this barn that has a really big milk jug in it. I think people might want to stop and see it.
They might want to go an hour north and then come back down.
Yeah, exactly. I've got a cricket farm. This road was completed in 1926, and it was known as Route 66 and began at the intersection of Jackson Boulevard and Michigan Avenue in Chicago. It went down through the Midwest and then through the Southwest until it got to LA County limits, which is where things get very confusing.
Okay.
Since it was following the old trails road, it still entered town through Foothill, but now it actually went to Los Angeles City proper instead of close enough Alhambra.
Yeah. Did it have a stop on Huntington Drive, or is it just like?
I mean, there's no. It's not, it's just like a road. It's not like a. You just pull over anywhere.
Right,
it's not
but
like
it wasn't like this is the last cool stop of old Route 66, or was it?
No,
like,
it wasn't old. It is Route 6. The ethos is being created as we speak, Greg. Because this is all happening.
I didn't spit. I don't spit. I learned not to.
I didn't say spit. We're sitting so far apart we can't even understand. I want to get
walkie-talkie.
Get on top of Baxter and let's record this. I want to go back in a room so we can actually hear each other, and you don't have your sockless feet up on your car.
I've been reading Huck Finn, and I really like it.
You heard the word Oklahoma, and you took your shoes and socks off.
I have a bandana around my neck. My pants are rolled up to my knee.
You got a pitchfork on your
I have straw in my mouth.
Is that a pitchfork in your pocket? Or are you from Oklahoma? So now you would come into Pasadena along Colorado Boulevard.
Okay.
Then go south along Fair Oaks Avenue to Huntington Drive to Mission Road to Broadway, which would take you downtown and would end at the official end of Route 66 at 7th and Broadway, right by Clifton's. So that was the end of the road.
Now, what year was this?
Or beginning of the road. This is, when did it start?
The 20s?
early 20s,
Okay.
1926. It was
26.
early 20s, 1926. You know,
Early 20s, mid 20s.
you know, the later half of the 20s, the early 20s. It's all spontaneous. We all made this up.
I mean, I'm coming up with it in my head. Like I'm just I have to walk me through it, Greg.
Talk me through it. So this was the route until 1936, but the early 30s. But in that time, several alternate Route 66 paths had to be added because more and more cars were coming, and they needed like a Waze-like way to alleviate some of the traffic.
Right. Okay.
Waze, it's kind of like TikTok.
It's like TikTok, but for cars.
Your car can do a dance with your dad, and people really like
You
it.
can look up GPS routes, but only for 6 seconds, and then it disappears.
6-second detours. It's just not a bad name for a TikTok channel. The alternate route from 1931 to 34 had you go along Fair Oaks, but then go right on Mission Street into Highland Park, along Pasadena Avenue to York to Figueroa, back to Pasadena, then to Broadway to downtown. So that was the first alternate route. Then another alternate one was added in 1935 that ignored Fair Oaks completely and took you out of Pasadena via the Colorado Street Suicide Bridge, which was one of the things I was like, we could talk about the Suicide Bridge now.
I just learned a great fact the other day about it.
Save it.
I'll save it for when we're being spontaneous. I'll write a 3-page paper on how spontaneously I thought about a woman throwing her baby off.
The next episode is about being spontaneous, so you can do it in that one.
Spontaneity in Los Angeles. Yeah.
So it went across Suicide Bridge through Eagle Rock, then a left on Eagle Rock Boulevard, left on San Fernando Road to connect to Broadway to take you to downtown.
It's awful. I've been down San Fernando Road.
Yeah, it's kind of an ugly route, that one, for part of it. But then things changed completely when it became clear that downtown LA was no longer the western end of civilization. Like, there's still more now. So now the city stretched all the way to Santa Monica, so Route 66 as well had to be extended.
So it goes to the... Continue.
I know what you're going to say, and you're wrong.
Okay.
Which I know you're used to me saying that to you, but this time...
You're wrong because I haven't said it first. And after I say it, you might be right.
I'm not Alberto Sistos. I'm here to one-up you. So now instead of going to Clifton's, when you were on Broadway, you would turn along what is now Cesar Chavez Avenue to Sunset Boulevard to Mira, which used to connect over to Santa Monica Boulevard, which would then take you all the way west to Lincoln, where you turned left to a right at the new and still current official of Route 66, the intersection of Lincoln and Olympic, right by Mel's. It's like a freeway off-ramp, basically. It's an ugly... Oh, so you knew that.
I know the intersection. I'm quite familiar with areas. My navigational prowess won't let me be wrong.
Best line in that intro. I've slept. This is the true end of Route 66.
But then...
But a challenger enters. But the reason it was there was because there was a federal rule that highways can't end in a dead end and not connect to another highway.
Freaking wall.
Yeah.
Well, you didn't get off that. You got to slam into that wall.
You got to go straight into it like Wile E. Coyote. So they picked here because this intersects with Route 1, the PCH, and can keep your American journey flowing, right? Now time to head north. So it all kind of loops together. There's a sign at this intersection marking it as the beginning or end of Route 66, depending on what way you look at it. Yeah. But this freeway off-ramp isn't really an intersection a lot of tourists are impressed by. So in 2009, it wasn't. They decided to put up a phony plaque at the beginning of the Santa Monica Pier as a more postcard-worthy end of that route. So that's only been for 10, 11 years. Yeah, I didn't know that. That's kind of disappointing. Because I always thought, like, oh, we'll drive Route 66 one day. We'll start at the pier and drive all the way to that hot dog stand in Chicago.
Right.
No, I would have felt incomplete if I didn't start at Lincoln and Olympic.
We start at Mel's and then we drive to the Mel's that's over there in Chicago.
But he's really big and he hates the Bears or whatever. Things got even more confusing in the 40s when the Arroyo Seco Parkway was created and confused Route 66 even further. In the late 40s, Route 66 changed to follow the new Arroyo Seco Parkway to take you to Sunset to Santa Monica. So now you're basically the Arroyo Seco was Route 66. Then in 1953, it changed yet again when the Hollywood Freeway opened. So now you went from the Arroyo Seco 110 to the Hollywood Freeway 101 to Santa Monica to Santa Monica.
I thought the point was roadside stuff. So why are you on a freeway?
This is at this point it's barely
so far beyond that.
It's not even. Let me finish this.
Yeah. Let me finish talking spontaneously.
Yeah, let me just finish this thought I had. So in all, Route 66 has had a fitting 6 different routes in Los Angeles, and in pure LA fashion, it got replaced by a freeway. By 1964, it was no longer listed in maps of LA because freeways were just more efficient. Yeah. And on June 22nd, 1985, Route 66 was officially decommissioned. They took it behind the barn, the world's biggest barn. They shot it with the world's biggest bullet in the U.S. So it was decommissioned, which is why it's now always referred to as historic Route 66. So it's not an official road anymore.
Yeah.
It's just nostalgia now. Yeah, I don't know if like in the 40s and 30s, like was it what it is now, or did that not happen till after it got romanticized? I don't really know.
That's weird. Yeah, I'm thinking about the song and like who did the song and what era did it
Yeah,
come
I
from?
guess
And
so.
were they looking at it nostalgically, or they were like, oh no, this is the poppin' spot?
Yeah, but by getting kicks, do they mean like pull over and eat at this hot dog stand, or do they mean just like get your kicks you can get from Los Angeles to Chicago really quickly?
I guess I should listen to the lyrics.
Hang on. Yeah.
Hold on. Nike Cole? Brian Setzer?
Barstow and Sloan and San Bernardino. Okay, so that's just my spontaneity has ended. Now let's get to the actual show. I'll start it off by my first thing on the route in the entryway of Los Angeles, discounting the Foothill Boulevard area.
Yes.
But my first one is All's Fair Oaks and Love Oaks and War Oaks.
God darn it. You
This-
won't stop doing that.
It's only intensified when I sit home for 23 hours a day. But you haven't been in my apartment in a while. All the walls are just different words, and I have red strings. I got this idea from Channel 22. Red strings. This first stop on our road trip is a place near and dear to my cholesterol traffic jam of a heart, the Fair Oaks Pharmacy.
You do love this
I
place.
love this place. You've been there?
I've been there, yeah. I don't think I've eaten there
Really?
before. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I can't have ice cream. I know they have
That's
like
true.
sandwiches and stuff.
They do, and they also have, we'll get to it, but they have some sort of alternatives also for people like you.
I will walk by Fair Oaks. I'll walk by the place that I did research on, and I'll just go to Gus's Barbecue.
What's Gus's Barbecue?
It's a really good barbecue place on Fair Oaks.
Huh.
You wouldn't know. It's not kitsch enough for you.
Is it shaped like a giant bottle of barbecue sauce?
Kids didn't ride their bike there in the 50s, so why would you go?
TikTok. Anything relating to anybody that's in high school or younger, I assume is TikTok. The building that is at 1526 Mission Street at the corner of Fair Oaks was designed by Arthur Benton and built in 1914. So that building's from 1914. It was owned by a woman named Gertrude Osman, who was one of the first female entrepreneurs in the area. And she bought it because she foresaw that the area would someday be a shopping hub.
Good
Women.
call, Gertie.
She just wanted an easy place to buy her own hats. Man. In 1915, a pharmacy opened up in there called the South Pasadena Pharmacy to serve the community, and it was actually one of the only places in South Pasadena to allow black customers inside, which is nice. So they sold medicine, but a lot of pharmacies also in this time, pharmacies came equipped with soda fountains because for a long, glorious period of history, soda was seen as medicinal. But even after it became abundantly clear it was not medicinal, they still kept the soda fountains because their medicine tasted terrible. So this was a way to make a little more money by offering something tasty to wash the awful medicine flavor away.
Okay, I'll get a little bit of cocaine. I'll get some NyQuil. But can you top it off with some Orange Crush?
This cocaine tastes terrible. I need a phosphate. And please, make it with heroin.
You just stir it with a heroin stick?
Instead
a dirty
of,
needle?
Can you pour your own blood into it? I hear that's good for you. The past was so stupid. And look at us now. We're so healthy and smart about what's good for you. I'll never wear a mask, but I will do cocaine and drink soda. This was their operation in the little backwater town of South Pasadena until the 20s when they were renamed the Raymond Pharmacy, and good fortune literally fell on their footsteps when Route 66 was made to go directly past their front door, and suddenly everybody loves Raymond Pharmacy. To draw in, that took a really long red string to
Everybody loves. No, nothing's coming to me.
No. Golden, no.
Everybody hates Chris. Raymond Pharmacy.
All in the pharmacy, no. To draw in these new Midwestern explorers, they put in a lunch counter. So now it's suddenly a great little place to stop in for lunch and a soda and, of course, ice cream. Because nobody was lactose intolerant back then.
I just S-word a lot everywhere I go. I'm not lactose intolerant.
Because I'm American.
My stomach's just always hot.
It was a great last stop before you went into LA proper, and during this time they even had a Pacific Electric ticket office inside so you could buy your tickets beforehand before you got in the city. In 1930, it was bought by a guy named Ed Gaskill. Everybody loves Ed Gaskill. And was renamed Gaskill's Raymond Pharmacy. I hate when places like Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, I hate it when they just add a name as owning another name of a name name of a place.
I can't get rid of the old name. That's why
Yeah,
people come.
people come.
And I can't put my name because nobody will come.
I can't not put my
I
name.
can't not put my name, yeah.
But in 1950, it finally got a good name and was renamed the Fair Oaks Pharmacy. But once Route 66 became a dusty old novelty road, so did the pharmacy. Like it wasn't that much fun. It was still a functional place, but it was for like the neighborhood. It wasn't really an attraction anymore. That changed in 1989 when it was bought by Michael and Meredith Miller, who made it their mission to restore the place to its old Route 66 glory. But they didn't want to just modernize it with cheap knockoffs. They wanted to restore it to what it used to be, and if they couldn't, then with actual relics from other places on Route 66. They brought back the original glory of the ceilings and the floors, but the other stuff was beyond repair, so they had to look further down Route 66 all the way to Joplin, Missouri at the McGee Pharmacy. McGee Pharmacy in Joplin.
Bobby McGee Pharmacy? Did you do that one? You don't have any red string for Janis Joplin references, do you?
That's a little too out there for me.
And they're in Joplin, Missouri?
Yeah.
And you didn't do Me and Bobby McGee? Wow.
That really, look.
I don't want to tell you how to do your job.
Look, I don't like this hippie crap getting involved in my...
Tell her to get a crew cut.
Join the military. You and Bobby McGee. You know what? I'm really upset that I didn't draw that string.
Yeah. Well, I'm just smarter than you.
As you sit there with no socks on.
You have sandals on. Don't get me started.
But at least I have leather on my feet.
We're clearly Tom Sawyer and Huck Finn right now. The only thing that makes Tom Sawyer better than Huck Finn is that he has sandals on and a hat.
You didn't point out the straw hat I'm wearing. Anyway, can you paint my apartment?
It's a lot of fun.
There's all these names of sitcoms written on the wall. I need a new paint job. I'll trade you at Apple for it. This was also a lunch counter. He and Bobby McGee Pharmacy was also a lunch counter / pharmacy place on Route 66 from the early 1900s, but it was dead and gone. So they bought from this place a bunch of early 1900s era appliances and decorations. They got original bar stools, malt mixers, stained glass cabinets. They bought their entire marble countertop to use as the bar.
Wow.
And people came from all around South Pasadena to watch this thing get installed at the Fair Oaks Pharmacy, because what else are you going to do in South Pasadena in the 90s?
Yeah. The radio only is on for like an hour a day. Yeah. So let's go watch them put a marble bar
I can only listen to so much Offspring. So all the crucial stuff in there is actually early 1900s Route 66 stuff. So like like I said, the bar stools, the bar itself, the register, like all that stuff is original things. In 2005, it was bought by Ed and Zara Shaniani, and it kept saying their last name. It's owned by the Shanianis, and I kept reading that it's now owned by Shanana.
It's really good that they got back together as a band and bought a pharmacy.
A Route 66 roadside attraction. The Shanianis took the community aspect of this place and the Route 66 attraction aspect of the place, and they perfected it. They now have a full-service restaurant, a gift shop full of old toys and candies, a convenience store. They play 50s music all the time. There's still a fully functioning compounding pharmacy, which means that they make the drugs in the house, and because of that, they can make your medicine any flavor you want.
Whoa.
So you don't have to have a soda to take it, but you still should probably have a soda. But yeah, they can make it like, oh, you want your Advil to taste like grape. All right, fine. Wow. It's totally illegal. And
they told me not to say this on the podcast, but they're just being humble.
But I took so much of their grape Advil, I just can't. No filter. They also do pet medication, and of course, the soda fountain is still armed and fully operational. The Shaniani sons, Ash and Brandon, worked there as kids and now have run the place since 2005. Their mom is still the pharmacist there, but they continue that community focus by giving jobs as soda jerks to local high school jerks. Cool. But the real reason I brought you all along this pharmacy history sinkhole is that this was all an elaborate ruse to tell you about the ice cream at this place. They've got banana splits. They've got banana royales, hot fudge sundaes, regular sundaes, cookie sandwiches, shakes, malts, floats, phosphates, Rickies, egg creams, ice cream sodas, freezes, which you could have. Yeah. They have a smoothie milkshake hybrid called Fruz, which sounds really good. They have of the Fruz, they have a blueberry pie flavor, an I Love Lucy themed one, and an Elvis flavored one.
Really?
Tastes like the king.
I was going to make an I Love Lucy flavor joke about cigarettes and red hair, but I'm tired.
It tastes like domestic dispute. Their sundaes are named after different streets in the area.
Okay.
So there's like the Fair Oaks Sunday. That's the only street.
Michael Myers House Sunday.
Yeah, that's a street, right? Michael Myers House Boulevard. They're also not afraid to experiment with new recipes, and they have a revolving holiday menu. Also, they go all out for the holidays. I was in there either last Christmas time or the Christmas time before that, and there's like 30 trees in there, and it's Christmas music. It's really nice.
I like that.
On their Halloween...
Do it again. Say it right.
Halloween already got canceled, so I'm forgetting what it is.
Halloween. Oh, jeez.
The Halloween menu alone, they have a candy corn ice cream sundae, sundae, which sounds gross to me, but I know people like that.
Yeah.
A pumpkin pie sundae, a poison apple phosphate, Frankenstein's burger, a boo burger, and of course, Dracula's Sunday Delight.
Oh, yeah.
Blood.
Hot blood.
Hot blood sundae, which I don't know why they don't call it that. But any respectable ice cream parlor on Route 66 should be stripped of its big novelty Route 66 window decal if they didn't also have the kitchen sink. You didn't know what this was when I kind of told you about it.
Yeah.
A lot of places have this, but here specifically, 8 scoops of your choice of ice cream with 8 different toppings, adding up to 12 pounds of diabetic delight. You can eat this casually if you want. I do. But you can also accept their kitchen sink challenge if you want. I do. It costs $50 and you can have one person help you to eat the entire thing, plus either 1 glass of cold water or 2 mugs of warm water in 30 minutes. And if you can do it, you're given a free meal, a shirt, your name on the wall of fame, and a year's supply of diarrhea.
What?
I really think I could do this.
Yeah, who'd your go-to be?
I would have Melissa just have like 1 or 2 of the balls, but
Yeah.
really, I think I could do it on my own.
Wow.
Yeah.
You are a bottomless pit.
At certain points, yes. If you can catch me,
Do you really think that you could do it?
I really do. If you can catch me, like if I didn't eat breakfast, if I had like a light breakfast and it's like 4 o'clock in the afternoon and my blood sugar levels have
Yeah.
just dropped, I think I could do it. I think I could set a record even.
Okay.
I'm going to go so far as to say I could set a record.
I'll eat the bowl. Can I eat the bowl? Can I be a waffle cone or something?
What, can I have a boo burger also with this?
I think that LA Meekly should put you up to that challenge.
If we could get a sponsor for this, because I will do it, but I will never pay $50
Wow.
for it. But if we could get a sponsor, I don't know, the Reagan Library or something.
JPL, I don't know.
Arco.
What are you doing?
Is Pan Am still in business? I do think I could do this, though.
Okay, I'm going to put you to that. I'll pay for it.
Start raising the money. The Fair Oaks Pharmacy makes over 1,000 banana splits a year and goes through about 80 gallons of ice cream a week. And of course, it's all Thrifty brand ice cream that they're using. They've been named the best old-fashioned ice cream parlor by Sunset Magazine and the best ice cream sundae by the LA Times. It's really a great place, and apparently it's now internationally known because people come from all over the world to stop there, and I really can't think of another ice cream parlor like this in the city.
Yeah.
Especially not one with early, authentic 1900s stuff in it. And if none of that tickled your fancy and made you want to go there, then it's time to pull out the big guns. It was used in the movie Ouija, Origin of Evil.
Really?
Ouija. I can't think of, because I know there was the DeSoto Pharmacy, but they're now closed.
Yeah.
So I really don't know of another ice cream
I feel like
parlor
there's
like
another
this.
couple, but I cannot put my finger on.
Yeah.
I know old-timey parlors like
Yeah.
Fossilman's.
Yeah,
there's
but it's not
Fossilman's,
like
but
a
it's not like a pharmacy
Yeah.
also.
I can't think of any other ones. Hey, that's my other challenge. Think of another one.
Think of another.
Brought to you by Rainforest Cafe. That's my first one.
You
on the
made me
route.
not only like it's weird because I don't eat ice cream. They have stuff there I can have, but I really love the Fair Oaks Pharmacy. But in my head, it's always part of a walk. Like it's not. I don't go just for that. But like if I'm on that walk that I take through Fair Oaks and down Mission, then I have to go inside.
Yeah, it's hard not to.
Yeah.
So you should go. Well, not this Christmas time, but because the people going into pharmacy during this Christmas time, you do not want to be around. But it was so nice. Like it was just, it was, you almost couldn't tell there were other people eating there because there were so many Christmas trees inside of that place.
Oh, they have a Fortis in here.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And then all of a sudden, a 16-year-old kid pops through. Did you say you wanted barbecue sauce or ranch?
I can carry this to your car for you.
A winter wonderland. So what's your first one that you've got here for us?
My first one was somewhere where I've known about it for a very long time, and I finally, I think last month, drove out to it, and I needed to see what it looked like. My next segment, my first segment, the next segment, which is my first
This is all spontaneous.
I'm just going off the top of my head. I'll be covering the
The top of my head. The top of my
bald
head.
top of my head. I'm going to be covering the Aztec Hotel in Monrovia, 311 West Foothill Boulevard.
I've only seen pictures of this, and I know that Craig Owens, he's like obsessed with the haunting at that place.
He is, yeah. I think I don't know if he's hosted a thing there, but
I think I've seen pictures of him too.
yeah, but he's done photo shoots there, and it's beautiful inside. Let's just say up front, yes, the hotel in Monrovia that is decorated beautifully in pre-Columbian Mayan design is called the Aztec Hotel.
Finally, someone points it out.
And those two words are not interchangeable. They were contemporaries, but like they lived thousands.
It's one of those things that like people in 1,000 years, people might be saying, did Richard Nixon work with George Washington? The gap of time just won't make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to anybody. But they were contemporaries, these two civilizations.
but very far apart.
But they were like like, I think over 800 miles apart. Like, one is closer.
Which
One's in
might
central
as
Mexico.
well be another planet.
Exactly, yeah. One is in central Mexico. The other one's closer to Guatemala, in like the Yucatan Valley. The architect, Robert Stacy Judd, knew full well the difference between the Mayan and the Aztec, but felt the public in the 20s was more familiar with the Aztecs, so he went with that instead.
Why? Why would they be more familiar with
I have
the
no
Aztecs?
idea, right? Like, they wouldn't both of them be known? They're like, okay, whatever. But remember, this is kitsch Southern California, and the more inaccurate and culture appropriating it is, the longer we love it for.
And the harder we love it. The more offensive, the better. Welcome to Route 66.
Welcome to the Washington Redskins. For the history,
Now the Washington football team.
so funny. For the history of the Aztec, we start with its architect, Robert Stacy Judd, who was born in London in 1884. This guy's career has been called restless by people who write about him because it seems like every couple of years he is changing employment, and with each employment opportunity, it's a different city or a different country. He's
Con
always
man.
on the move.
Con man.
He studied naval architecture at Acton College and continued to study architecture at Westcliff Beach, and then he attended the Regent Street Polytechnic in London and served as an apprentice for 5 years as an architect for the Great Northern Railroad. After that, he was a supervisor overseeing architectural staff at the grounds office of the Franco-British Exposition in London, and soon after he opened up his own office and then took another office in Ventura.
He's a con artist.
He's a con.
He
Clearly.
has to be a con
What are you
artist.
running from?
Yeah.
Stacey Judd, what are you running from? He was on the Isle of Wight, which is so funny, where he operated a theater for like 3 years. He was known in England for making theaters with like an Egyptian theme, like designing with Egyptian theme. So already he was already looking at old
Now,
civilizations.
they knew the Aztecs, right?
They were like friends. They all, I mean, everyone was building pyramids. After that,
You want to talk about pyramids? Tune into Channel 22 on your walkie-talkie.
just to hear about the smartest man alive. After that, Robert Stacy Judd comes to America in 1913. He travels around plenty, but lands in Minot, North Dakota. And when he's there, he's prolific. For the next 2 years, he becomes one of the most successful architects in that state. And by the time he leaves in August of 1916, he had 27 building projects either completed or in the works. Anyways, he leaves North Dakota and begins work in Calgary, Alberta in 1920. He sets up practices and gets some work done, but nothing that really seems to satisfy him. So once again, he moves. 1922, Judd moves to Los Angeles, where he seems to live the rest of his life. No more running for this guy.
They
Now
never caught him.
This is where all the cons come. We already covered that episode. It's not known when he first read the two books from John Lloyd Stevens. One of them is The Incidents of Travel in Central America, Chiapas, and Yucatan, and the other one is Incidents of Travel in Yucatan, which had beautifully drawn images by Frederick Catherwood. They were like etchings, but at some point Judd reads it, and it changes him. The travel book by Stevens details his exploration of Central America and the ruins of the Maya civilization, and Catherwood's painstaking etchings recreating the exotic intricacies of the designs found there in Chiapas and Yucatan really stirred something in Judd. Like, he was fascinated by these designs. It stirred something in him more than just architecture, but for now, just architecture. So it's 1924, and the city of Monrovia decides that it wants to build a hotel that can get the city some attention and get people to stop there. They decided a flashy hotel would do the trick. The Chamber of Commerce put together money by selling stock in the hotel. They put together $138,000, and the Monrovia Hotel Corporation commissioned Robert Stacy Judd to design it. He had earlier pitched them like a pre-Columbian cliff dwelling in the Gold Hills, and they thought it was too much. But together, the two parties compromised and on a scaled-down version of his plans and put together $250,000 to pay for the hotel. So they paid him to do the
What year was this?
1924. Just a couple, like,
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
That's con man money. That could really bring out some bad habits in people when you're offered that much money.
Yeah, we'll give you $250,000. Stranger who
Read a book about
read a
Mayans?
book and goes from town to town. For this hotel that would eventually become part of Route 66, Robert Stacy Judd would go for it and incorporate designs and motifs he was influenced by from the Mayan ruins. He would create what many at the time called California's most unique hotel.
But why Mayan? Like, was there, you know how there was like the Egyptian craze where the Egyptian theater and that sort of thing was built? Was there like a Mayan Aztec craze going on?
Yeah, we'll get into it.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. Right now, actually, what he would create.
Spontaneous.
Yeah,
Right off
spontaneous.
that.
Oh,
Well,
now that you brought that
now
up.
that you brought that up, we'll get to that.
So he wasn't. It was literally the next sentence. So let me try to answer that question. He wasn't the first one to shoot for what is now called the Mayan Revival architecture. Frank Lloyd Wright had already given us the Hollyhock House and the Ennis House.
Oh, yeah, it is.
But here's the thing about those two is that they were private residences in Hollywood.
Not by my standards.
Not by my pick lock set.
Not according to this bloody fist.
Not according to my credit card, which keeps breaking in the door.
Tell it
Private
to this
residences-
brick.
Those are private residences in Hollywood, and we weren't meant to see what the inside really looked like until years later
Yeah.
when they would want to tour
When
it.
they would do open mics there.
And they would. It wasn't an open mic. It was a show.
It was a show.
It was a full-on show. But this was not one. Like I was saying, it's not one of those. This is a hotel built on Route 66, built to stop cars on their way in
you're
and
meant
out
to
of town.
come in here.
Meant to come in and tour around. So, like, all of it was meant to stop you.
Yeah.
And that's really interesting. The exterior is what many people are obviously more familiar with since there hasn't been access to the hotel for years. The hotel itself, the outside is like a pale green, and the decorative elements of the building are like a clay red color. The facade itself is painted stucco. The ornamental elements run along the edges of the facade to accentuate the shape. So, like, the roof line has some designs, the corners of the building have, and then the entrance, like everything around the entrance is the Mayan designs.
Is it completely shut down right now?
They've been remodeling it for like 10 years, but there's no access to it.
I mean, you never hear of anyone staying
exactly.
in this hotel.
Yeah, there's like lots of intricate designs on the facade, like steep projections, square spires, and my favorite sentence that Ada had to help me with, abstract geometric design motifs.
Oh, Greg, stop it.
Stop it. I'm sweating. And I saw it, like her and I went out there and we saw it, and I thought it was...
I see the geometric squares.
Oh, are these
spreading.
abstract geometric design motifs?
Are these doors?
What do you call something like this? Like the Mayans would have... It's a doorknob. No, they wouldn't. Oh, okay. Did Mayans have a bar and grill? No, they didn't. Oh, okay.
Did Mayans have a reception desk when you would get to Maya?
That they did have, actually. Who were going to be sacrificing today? I don't know if they did sacrifices. I know the Aztecs did.
I've seen Apocalypto. No, I haven't. And
I saw part of it at a barbershop, and I left the barbershop because they were playing it.
Because they were supporting Mel Gibson, and I can't tolerate that, even though I just watched Lethal Weapon.
What a great LA movie that is, that we didn't even bring up in our first LA movie.
Burbank the cat.
The cat's like, I'm getting too old for this S word. Does he say that in the first movie?
He says it about 4 times.
Okay.
I'm getting too old for this nip. That's what the cat says.
So her and I drove out there to Monrovia to take a look at it, and we knew it wasn't open, but we wanted to see what it looked like. I thought it was neat, but I wasn't
My credit card wanted to see what the inside of this doorknob
You're
looked like.
going to take me inside, right? Okay, credit card. Okay, debit card. But I wasn't dazzled by it. Like, I didn't look at it and be like, wow, this is better than the Ennis house. Like, I was like, this is neat. It's a kitsch and it's fun and it's different. But where the true skill and magic of the design lie are the interiors of the Aztecs.
Right.
So let's get there. Let's open up first. It officially opened up in September of 1925 and cost $250,000 to construct after a year of building it.
It's right on time for Route 66.
I know. It's like a year right before they were linked to it. A couple websites called a modest budget. Okay. The opening night had a dinner and a dance in the cafe for guests, and then they were led on a public tour of the hotel. So just to give you an idea of the hotel, here's a description from a newspaper from 1926, a year after it opened. The Aztec Hotel consists of 36 rooms, all with bath, and contains a large dining hall with a coffee shop adjoining, which would later become the Mayan Bar and Grill and later like the Blue Elephant. Each room in the hotel is decorated differently.
No elephants in South America.
Wonderfully landscaped grounds, including a charming patio and pleasing views.
And the abstract square door, squares.
The abstract geometric design motifs. I did it without having to look at the paper. It's almost
You're
like
learning.
I said it 6 times.
It's almost like that thing where you have to repeat something 10 times before you learn it works.
One of the more interesting things I read was that no 2 rooms are finished in the same style or color. The
So it's
furniture
like the Madonna Inn.
Yeah, like the Madonna Inn. The furniture that was made by the Barker Brothers was done to fit the aesthetic of the building. Barker Brothers. They didn't do Monopoly, they did Monopoly.
Do not pass Bo.
Oh no, the police are here. The furniture that was made by the Barker Brothers was done to fit the aesthetic of the building itself. So they drew from design elements from the Aztecs, the Incas, and the Toltecs. I'm not good at describing interior design elements, and it was hard to find a good source that would describe the interior. So I think looking at it will do much better service than listening to what I have to say. The entry
Let's all look at it right now.
Stop this podcast and look at it. The entry walls to what I think are either hallways or doors are circular, and they protrude out with pre-Columbian design. So like an entryway to I can't see if it's a hallway or a door to a room, but like on the wall over the space where a door could be, there's just like a round archway you can walk in with all the designs and stuff.
I like that.
It's really neat looking, yeah.
I like walking through round things.
Me too.
Yeah.
You know what? Me too.
I'm so glad one of us finally said it.
I've always wanted to walk through the automatic doors of the Death Star down the long hallways that open up at an angle, like they're a triangular cut sandwich.
Yeah.
And then the ground, which has the orange lights with the black crate, like the steel. My entire life. If the new Disneyland Rebel thing has that, I'll be so happy.
And hey, let's build that for you. Sponsored by TSA Airlines. Sponsored by
the Barker Brothers.
Sponsored by Circuit City. Barker Brothers. It's the dogs of the Barker Brothers that made their own board game company.
The dogs that play poker because they're so rich because they designed Monopoly.
Those are actually the pets of the Barker Brothers. Not many people know that.
Okay, so inside the Aztec, it's very dark inside because there's a lot of wood and very moody, and I like that a lot. The lights are low. The wood is dark. The light fixtures are really beautiful. The columns and the wooden beams on the ceilings are great. There's a mural inside as well of what looks like the temples in Yucatan. The LA Times said the interior was seductively adorned with murals of Maya culture, including the the sun god who must be regularly placated with blood of human sacrifice, which is true, and the god of lust. And I asked Ada, is there a god of lust? She's like, yeah, pretty much all of them.
I'm the god of lust. Gimme.
I mean, me and Avina, come on. When I was looking at the photos in the interior, I've only seen one mural, but let's see this lust one. I mean, what's that one about? Where's that? Like a centerfold mural?
It's like a closet that you open.
Va-va-voom. It's very old and moody inside. I really like from standing at the door and looking in. That's very nice.
I've only seen pictures.
Postcards and photos, yeah.
Yeah, pictures of the outside and some pictures of the inside.
It's very neat up close, but I'm dying to see what the inside looks like.
Yeah, I've got a brick in my car.
We can get anywhere with that. I have a nifty little way to get into any little building.
Some people might call this the keys to the city. I call it a brick I keep in the trunk.
I call it a bag of bricks I carry around in my trunk. On first appearances, the Aztec would appear to be 2 stories, but that's not true. There's actually a 3rd floor, a basement, and in the basement of a 1920s hotel, you better believe there was a speakeasy down there. Couldn't find out too much information though. The rates of the Aztec in the 20s were $2 or more for a week, and then you also get a bath. It was phrased weird. It was like,
you also get a bath?
I mean, every room had a bath, but it was like $2 up with bath or something like that. And you're like, what does that mean? 30 cents for lunch, $1 for dinner.
You know what I could get at the Fair Oaks for that price?
They had a lot of people through those first couple of years stay there. They had like writers such as Lloyd Hampton, who wrote articles for national magazines about Mayan architecture and its revival. They had composers like Charles Wakefield Cadman. And they had architects from LA like Arthur Calley and C.A. Gunnemere, along with many other architecture students and peers who would come and study the hotel. All the names from the article from 1926, and we never heard from them again, so they're probably dead and nobody's. Supposedly this was a movie star hotspot at that time in the 20s, but I didn't find any evidence of that. In 1927, though, the president of the Philippine Senate, Manuel Quezon, and his family rested at the Aztec before they continued to San Francisco. Check that out. That's something. Philippine
Royalty.
Senate. People are very wowed by this hotel and the design. They called it daring. They said no one had ever tried anything as bold in Southern California. They said it was the only structure of its kind in existence, combining every modern convenience in a setting of ancient splendor known only to the lost Mayan civilization. The Aztec is well loved.
Plus bath.
$1 dinner. The following year, 1926, that's when Foothill Boulevard is designated as US 66, Route 66. The Aztec sits right on it. But almost as soon as it opened, troubles started. I read somewhere that the money trouble started quickly.
Mayan hotel started encroaching.
The Spanish hotel encroached, and they're like, what's this about? And it was the end for the Aztecs.
Yeah, we all these Spanish tourists, and suddenly it's Granada Hotel.
I shouldn't have put Melanche as the receptionist. Is that the woman's name who betrayed the Aztecs?
Don't know this story at all.
Let's call my girlfriend real quick. She'll know.
Hang on, let me get ready to call my girlfriend. Geometric squares,
geometric, abstract motif designs. Nope. Got it all mixed up. But okay, so as soon as it opened, there was troubles. Judd had not been paid in full for his work.
Con man gets conned. No proof that he's a con man.
Never saw it coming.
No proof that he's a con man.
Because he moved a lot. We're like, ooh, it's fishy.
What's wrong with this guy? He likes to see the world.
Says the guy who's still living in his boyhood home. This guy moves a lot? Suspicious. Lock him up.
He moved more than 8 miles away from his parents? What's he hiding? Because even at 8 miles, I'm hiding a lot.
So Judd sued the stockholders and some of the shareholders of the Aztec for his month's pay. Because I think they paid him for a lot, but there's like a month from August to September 1925 that didn't pay him for, and it covered I think like $1,200 of work, and they didn't want to pay him because of these reasons: asserted negligence on the part of the architect, all right, impractical architectural design, you saw the plans, you know it was coming, and lack of proper supervision on my part or your part. Okay. I think at this point the hotel committee had declared bankruptcy, and by 1927 the deed of the hotel was for sale at a sheriff's sale for $50,000. By this time it was said the owners were listed as Fidelity Savings and Loan Association, and they owned it for another decade, but it remained open throughout this and still incredibly popular. By 1931, Route 66 was realigned and bypassed the Aztec Hotel, so travelers wouldn't spot it unless they already knew about it, which they might have since it was incredibly popular already. By 1937, a 3-cornered real estate deal went forward for the Aztec, so the new owners were expected to spend $40,000 in modernizing the building and making it operational. None of these factors seemed to slow down the public's love for the Aztec. Through the 40s, this is when it kind of had a new heyday for Hollywood people coming through. Tom Mix, cowboy actor Tom Mix, went there a lot. Clark Gable, on his way to Palm Springs, would stop at the bar, and Bing Crosby as well would stop at the bar there after spending some time at the Santa Anita racing tracks nearby, in quotes. It's not nearby, it's far. And the architect was also enjoying fame. Robert Judd was an accomplished man by the time he built the Aztec, but that really launched his career. After this, he was known for being like a genius and an eccentric. Okay. They compared him to P.T. Barnum for his showmanship. He would apparently go to cocktail parties in full pre-Columbian garb. I thought they said Mayan garb. I showed Ada and she's like, "As Aztec." He was like in feathers.
That's abstract
covered
Aztec.
in like designs and stuff like that.
Sounds perfectly acceptable.
It sounds like he's ready for Coachella. He was a fixture at the Hollywood crowd. He would like hang out with like Hollywood people all the time, and apparently he would like Betty Davis was incredibly curious about the Mayans, and he'd have to explain to her like this is their civilization is in central Mexico or central Guatemala.
Behold their civilization, and here is their coat check room.
By 1930, Judd was in the Yucatan jungles himself, exploring and searching for new ruins of the Mayan temples. He went with this group from Tulane University, and they had like hired guides who would help them through the jungles. And they discovered things. Apparently, they discovered something called the Temple of the Long-Tongued Mask, which I asked Ada to look up for me, and she said it is. Let me see if I could find out.
It's an abstract geometric square.
Abstract geometric design motif.
This is the guy,
the designer, the architect.
So he got that into...
Yeah, after he designed that, he like would go to the Yucatan and like look for ruins. He was also writing articles about his expeditions for the LA Times, and they were like a fun read if you're into that. It's like, kind of like a little Indiana Jonesy, like using a machete to cut through the jungle to find old ancient relics.
Find old ancient hotels.
In 1932, he got married at a church that he designed, the First Baptist Church on Laurel Street in Ventura. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful building. It looks very Art Deco. Anyways, let me read you the subheading of a news article about him getting married. Stacy Judd and bride explore Mayan ruins in Yucatan with dirigible.
What?
Yeah. That was, I guess, their honeymoon.
This
Pretty
guy
good
is,
wedding.
He is Indiana Jones.
Certainly tried to be. Him and what's his name should have hooked up.
Yeah, Footerer.
Antoine Footerer.
Come on our honeymoon, you religious nut job.
Yeah, bring all that junk with you. Yeah. He also designed the Masonic Temple in Tujunga. He did lots of like LA homes in like Tudor and Spanish style. La Jolla Beach and Yacht Club.
La Jolla. That's where Conan lives.
Every time I think of La Jolla, I used to La Jolla was my Dr. Seuss reference before. Now it's like Conan abandoned us for La Jolla. I gotta get to La Jolla.
I gotta go to La Jolla.
I gotta go to La
I
Jolla.
talked to you, but I gotta go to La Jolla.
He designed the Philosophical Research Center in Los Feliz, which I've never seen, and the North Hollywood Maternity Hospital, which I've also never seen, and I couldn't find pictures of. And interestingly, he designed the Atwater Bungalows in Elysian Park, which is like a Hopi-style bungalows or Adobe-style looking houses, on my walking path to Elysian Park that I would pass as a kid all the time. Later in life, Robert Stacy Judd helped design Spruce Goose, working with Howard Hughes on his cartoonishly large plane that couldn't get off the ground. He helped design.
You mean the guy who made a Mayan-themed hotel helped design a novelty?
I thought you were trying to build a temple. Trying to build a plane? It's not going to get off the ground.
A flying temple.
He died in the age of 90 in 1975 while living in Canoga Park and left a Mayan revival-style mark on the region. 3 years after his death, the Aztec Hotel was listed in the National Register of Historic Places, 1978.
Really?
Through the years, it remained open and continued for a while as a tourist spot, but then it became a little more run-down and ugly as everything did in the 70s. The LA Times article by Cecilia Rasmussen, which we brought her up way too many times because she writes really great articles, she says that it went from being a hotel to a boarding house to a flop house to a hangout for hookers. Like, that was the progression through the 80s, into the 80s.
If you look at the like anamorph chart of a hotel, that's what it looks like.
It's just like a cigarette getting grosser with more lipstick on it. So by the 1980s, Monrovia was changing, though, and reclaiming itself as a safe suburb. And when that changed, so did ownership of the Aztec. They remodeled it, and the bar and grill opened as the Brass Elephant in 1983. I said Blue Elephant, but it's Brass Elephant.
When Still doesn't exist in South America, brass or blue.
When Route 66 became cool and kitsch again in the 90s, the Aztec had a resurgence. The California Historic Route 66 Association would hold meetings at the Aztec. It was handed over to a singer and a public relations representative for Cadillac dealer Kathy Reese in 2000, and she hoped to get the place running again, but at this point it was hard to track the owners. It's like after this point, 2000, it sounds like it. I don't know if I'm reading about managers that switched a lot or owners, because it was like foreclosed on. I think Reese owns it until 2011 and then it got foreclosed on. They tried to sell it as a novelty, didn't really work. They tried to sell it on the ghost stories, that didn't work. Tried to sell it on Route 66 history, nothing seems to have made it like a good selling point. Its current owner is Quinn Han Chan, who bought it in 2012 after it foreclosed. At this point, 2012, it closes for Chen to make renovations. He made significant repairs to this place, like a new roof, new doors, updated the parking to be more like handicap accessible. But according to the San Gabriel Valley Tribune, Chan is at war with the Historic Preservation Commission over the remodeling. Here's a line from that article. When the Historic Preservation Commission got wind of the period inappropriate doors in 2017, it gave Chen 2 years to remove and replace them. Hey, this isn't old. Put an old door up. Who cares if it's easy for Daniel to break in?
Don't put the Star Wars door in, even if Greg likes walking through it.
Mr. Chen now has to do repairs to a neon sign, which he did, replace guest room windows in public view for the
Sorry.
And he has to replace like a collapsed parapet, like a low protective wall along the roof. The article was written last year, the repairs that he has to make for them to reopen, so it remains closed. According to Route66News.com, 2 conditional use permits approved by the City Planning Commission for the city indicate the Aztec will reopen as a lodging establishment with a restaurant. This after the Planning Commission on the 27th of May approved the permits for the hotel and the Mayan Bar and Grill restaurant. So maybe when the world settles down, maybe when we all go back, when this is all over.
When these trying times.
When it's trying times, when it's all over, maybe the
we
Aztec
can be
will
together again.
At the Aztec Hotel, which will be open for us to visit.
Meet me at the Aztec. That is weird that the different ways they're trying to market it aren't taking, but I kind of feel like it should be marketed as all three, like not just like it's a haunted hotel, it's a this hotel. It should be like this is a novelty haunted Route 66 hotel. But also I can see it being a hard sell being in Monrovia, like who's staying there.
San Gabriel Valley has a lot of really great stuff, and it's a really beautiful area. But if you come from out of town, Monrovia is far enough to make it not worth coming to. Like, we're going to go to Venice today from Monrovia.
Just take Route 66. I mean, unless you're like family members visiting people who live in that area who don't want you staying in their house, but you also want a whimsical vacation.
Yeah, I mean, when we talked about for the fan writing episode, we were talking about like you pick an area and you stick to it. If you pick San Gabriel Valley, that's still a really good trip.
Yeah,
you got
but
the Huntington Gardens, you got Santa Anita, you got Pasadena.
But nobody's going to do that. Unless this is like your 6th trip to LA.
Yeah, that's true.
Nobody's going to do that.
But if you're listening and you want to come and you're like, where do I stay? Hey, San Gabriel Valley is fine. And it's not too far.
No, it's not. I mean, you're going out all day. You might as well just...
You're going to be passing like one of the most beautiful areas in LA County to get to LA City. And that's absolutely fine. You can pass Michael Myers' house. You're not going to pass Michael Myers' house?
Oh, you want to get an ice cream sundae at the Fair Oaks Pharmacy? You want to take a spin on the Suicide Bridge? Okay, so let's get to my next one. This one is, it doesn't ring Route 66, but this is Route 66. Formosa Cafe.
Right.
A place that I thought was an Italian restaurant. Formosa my life.
I hate you so much for that.
It doesn't make sense that it's not an Italian... I mean, it does. I'll explain why, but like I always assumed it was an Italian restaurant.
It's Asian cuisine, right?
Yeah.
I like how like 2 so far have been like, well, I don't know if they're cultural appropriating.
No, it is.
Oh,
it is, but it comes full circle.
Talk spontaneously about it.
Let me just, off the top of my head, let me check my top of the head notes. At the intersection of Santa Monica and Formosa, which I think got its name from the restaurant, because otherwise it's a huge coincidence given that the Republic of Formosa was the name for Taiwan when they were briefly independent in 1895, and this is a Chinese restaurant. So it's a weird thing of like...
What came first?
Yeah, because there's no way that they decided to open a Chinese-themed restaurant with a Chinese-themed name on a street that has that same name.
Yeah.
That's an obscure name for the type of food that they're making.
They're like, maybe like they bought the property and they're like, oh, what do we do with it?
I can tell you they didn't buy the property, but I really don't know. I was trying to look up like, when did Formosa Street get its name? And it's all just like, Charlie Chaplin lived here.
It is a shortcut to Melrose Boulevard.
It was at the address...
Avenue. Melrose Avenue, sorry. It's
you almost look like a fool. Your navigational prowess has been challenged. At the address of 7156 Santa Monica Boulevard, which was Route 66, there has been a restaurant in some form here since 1915. What that first restaurant might have been, we don't know, but by the 20s it was a place called the Red Post Cafe, which it was not called Red Post Avenue that it was on. So it seems to have opened in 1928, the Red Post Cafe, but I'm not sure who owned it, because there's sort of the story that's become the official canon of the Formosa Cafe, and then there's the actual facts that people have uncovered. One part of the story that is for sure, though, is that in 1939 the restaurant was bought by a guy named Maximilian Goldstein, aka Max Goldie.
Ooh, I like that. Maxi Goldie?
Max Gold.
Max Gold.
Who seems to have had some ties to organized crime that, as you'll soon hear, did not end well. Goldie rebuilt the place instead of just some greasy spoon that people from the studio next door would go to. It's right next to what used to be, it was Pickford Fairbanks Studio, then United Artists Studio, then Sam Goldwyn, then...
Oh, that's right. It's right next to it.
It's right next to it. And then it was an extension of Warner Brothers, and now it's just called The Lot. He wanted to make...
That's asking a lot. Go ahead.
Formosa. He wanted to now make it into a full-service restaurant and cocktail lounge. This Max Gold.
Maxi Goldie.
Max Goldie. The problem was this place was known for being tiny, so he had to make some more space to accommodate his big cocktail dreams. So instead of building a new section to the restaurant on land that wasn't his own, mind you, it was owned by the studio, this land that it was on.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
So he instead saw an old Pacific Electric red car that had been decommissioned in 1936 and decided to just slap that onto the side of the building, and boom, suddenly you have a room for a bunch of more tables in there. So it's another one of those restaurants that's also a train car.
Cool.
It's one of, well, I guess one of the Pacific dining cars closed. So what, there's 4 now, and counting the Carnies?
Carnies, yeah. I guess there's
2
4.
Carnies, Pacific Dining Car, and Formosa Cafe.
I mean, Travel Town, you can take an apple on if they don't know.
They let me take my lunch right in the train.
Right in the train.
Gosh shucks. You're Huck Finn. The trolley they have there is car 913, which means that it was in the... This is why I think you'll like this story, because it's all about restoring old train cars, which means that it was in the first series of red cars, which means it was made sometime between 1902 and 1906.
Wow, so it's old.
It's an old car. So this was the new setup, and the place was now called the Formosa Nightclub. However, like I said, Goldie was involved with organized crime, so in 1945 he lost the restaurant in a poker game.
Oh my.
And then not long after that, he was found shot to death in the back inside of a phone booth on Santa Monica Boulevard.
Wow.
So that's the end of Max Goldie.
I want to know more about him in the phone booth.
I want to know more about that phone booth.
Yeah.
Is he some sort of a Superman character? So now here's where things get even more vague. The official story is that the restaurant was then bought by a boxer from New York named Jimmy Bernstein, who got hurt and had to quit boxing and ended up moving to LA. He was friends with Charlie Chaplin and Douglas Fairbanks, and he decided to start making money by opening up a restaurant. But further historical digging found that it was actually bought by some guys named Bobby Goodman and Stan Marcus, who let some bookie, also named Jimmy Bernstein, buy into the restaurant with them, thinking he was the Jimmy Bernstein, the boxer.
Oh my God.
And then this guy shows up, and they're just like, well, fine, you have the money. We could just say Jimmy Bernstein part owns this place.
Jimmy Bernstein, but he can't come out and say and talk to you guys.
Pay no attention to the guy behind the trolley car from 1902. So whoever the real Bernstein was, it's 1945, and the Formosa nightclub is now known as the Formosa Cafe, and it gets a complete remodel. Now it is to be refocused with a Cantonese theme, serving Chinese food and having Chinese-inspired decorations with, again, another very dark place, dark reds, lots of wooden patterns and dim lighting. Ads for the rebranding promise Cantonese dishes for the gourmet, American dishes for the particular.
Oh, for you who can't stomach noodles.
Yeah, Canton, eat that.
You almost had it.
For most of the time I had it, but it was a lot. It took a full 3 years before this group of decidedly white guys running a Chinese restaurant to bring in an actual Chinese chef named Lem Quan.
That must have took a lot of brain. They must put their think tank together for that one. We should get an actual Asian person in here.
Our Chinese food tastes like garbage because we make it. 3 Jewish guys. How can
What
we...
could it be?
What's the missing ingredient? Quan was born January 15th, 1910 to Ton Quan and Wu Shi in Hong Kong. When he was very young, his parents and his older brother moved to LA to make a living. And when he was 12, they finally had enough money to send for him. So he took a 36-day boat ride on a cargo ship to San Francisco with his dad's 70-year-old friend.
Did it sink and they had to rebuild it? Why did it take so long?
I'm surprised it took that short in 1922 or whatever to sail from Hong Kong to San Francisco.
I'm reading that Mark Twain book and he's like, oh God, I got to get to England right now. And 2 months later, he got there.
You made it here in record time. He eventually made his way to rejoin his family in LA and worked for his dad in a Chinese restaurant called Too Far Low.
Okay.
Now that I'm saying it out loud, that sounds like it's wordplay. Too far low? I don't know. I'm sure something racist just came out of my mouth.
Yeah, I'm sure we're going to get canceled.
Then the World War, the second one, hit, and Quan joined the army to fight for his new country. He obviously had an inclination towards cooking, so he was made a chef, and after the war, he started cooking at Shanghai Jin in LA. But once they lost their lease there, he found his way to the Formosa, where he became the head chef and eventually part owner, and brought actual Cantonese experience to the place, finally. But what the Formosa Cafe was really known for was being one of the places in town where celebrities came to eat. You're bragging about the senator from the Philippines? Well, guess what? I've got Ava Gardner coming up.
Ava Gardner?
Ava Gardner from the Philippines? That time-honored tradition of people from the studio next door coming over to eat at the end of the day continued, but now that the place had a little more class and heft, it didn't just draw in the gaffers and the best boys. Now it was the stars and the best boys. This was one of those places, like the Brown Derby, where just everybody ate
Somehow
there.
ate
Everybody
there,
at the same time.
Yeah, they didn't film a scene in Lucy there, so we don't know about it. But everybody must have been there.
You got your Gable, your Bogart, Sinatra, Lana Turner, Dean Martin, Ronald Reagan, the actor, James Dean,
the car crash victim,
Marilyn Monroe, the legend, Marlon Brando, the legend, Jack Benny.
patron saint of touching your own face.
I was waiting for you to say that.
Yeah.
It's pointless to name celebrities that ate there because they all ate there,
Yeah.
but I just did anyway.
Are you going to bring up the scene in LA Confidential?
No, but they keep talking about that.
That's funny.
What was it, Lana Turner?
Lana Turner, yeah.
Ava Gardner would sometimes dance around the tables when she was there.
Really?
One time they had to throw out Lee Marvin because he was too drunk. Surprise.
God.
The surprising part of that story is that one time that happened. John Wayne passed out drunk in one of the booths one night, so they just locked him in and they found him making eggs the next day, which is a story literally every single article I read about this place mentioned. They cannot wait to tell you about how John Wayne made scrambled eggs.
That was like the headline. Do you want them scrambled? I can't do a John Wayne voice.
You want them scrambled, partner? Elvis once gave a waitress a Cadillac as a tip there.
Okay.
There's now a display above the booth he and the Colonel always used to sit at. There's a display of Elvis paraphernalia that was given to Quan, who became the owner of the place in 1976 when Bernstein died. It was given to him by the Colonel himself.
Wow.
So it's like a little shrine for Elvis at the table where Elvis would always sit, which is
crazy.
cool. On the other side of that, Clark Gable apparently lived by the motto, "Frankly, my dear, I don't give a tip." This is my favorite. I love this story. One time he had a bill for $22. So he gave the waitress $25 and she said thanks and took it and then, went, did her job. Passed by his table later, saw he was still sitting there and he said, "Where's my change?"
Oh my God.
The-
that guy who sexually assaulted many women and got away with it, he didn't leave a tip?
Arguably the richest man, like the George Clooney of the time.
Where's my $3?
$3. But sir, I have a child to feed. Yeah, well, I gotta harass people.
How old is she?
One time Howard Hughes owed his friend $20, but the billionaire had to borrow it from Quan because he reached into his wallet, but it was just filled with his own pee. After those glory days of the 40s and 50s, the place became a hot spot for the rock and roll crowd in the 60s and 70s. More recent names like Brad Pitt comes in often dressed like he's homeless so people won't notice him. Tim Burton and Johnny Depp met here to figure out how to make Ed Wood.
Oh, wow.
There's black and white headshots of celebrities everywhere in there.
One of those places,
yeah,
like a laundromat?
It's a lot like a laundromat, except these people actually were here. Most of them are signed. All the booths are named after an old Hollywood regular, and there's a lot of drinks named after them too, but their most famous drink is still their Mai Tai. They're famous for the Mai Tais.
Oh, wow, okay.
It was such a hot spot that there was a legend that the restaurant was actually connected to the studio by an underground tunnel, but there's no proof.
People love stories of underground tunnels.
They do. They
or like
really
dumb
do.
waiters that lead to like a war room with Clark Gable and
Clark Gable was harassing people's
Yeah.
daughters. And they were all friends with Quan. Like
Okay.
everybody knew Quan, and he became something of a celebrity within the world of these celebrities. He had his own booth that he was always working out of. They used to be Ava Gardner's booth, but he made sure the restaurant wasn't just for celebrities. He said, "Here at the Formosa, we always make small people feel like big stars. We are all the same." He still calls them small people though. The other element that had a notorious reputation here was the people from another culture of big names, that underworld of organized crime.
Oh, right.
That we were talking about. This place had a big gangster affiliation for a while, mostly because of the big two who were regulars here. Mickey Cohen and Bugsy Siegel would eat here all the time. They would conduct their business from a private back room in the red car portion, which after them became a VIP celebrity section with a bank of phones that the studios could reach their stars in through these phones.
That's so funny.
Siegel had a safe installed in the floor in there that he would have people put the money they owed him into, which he could then come back later to empty, so that there was legally never any hand-to-hand exchange
Right.
of cash. In the year 2000, it had been closed since 1947, so they decided to make a big spectacle of it, opening it on live TV by the son of the guy who had installed it in the first place, and thousands of people watched live as it was cracked open and nothing was in there.
Geraldo Rivera opened it.
They kept comparing it to that.
Yeah.
It's now still there. It's a little glass display that you can
pretty
see
cool.
if you sit at that booth. But the Formosa was a place where actors and criminals knew they could go to relax and be discreet without being bothered by cops or paparazzi
Right.
at all, unless you're Lana Turner.
Yeah, it's so cool to go there. Like you're Rod Serling and you go there, and like all the Twilight Zone fans are outside, but then Mickey Cohen's like, "Shut up!" and they all go.
Leave that dork alone! The restaurant had newer areas added onto it over the years, but in 1991, the inevitable almost happened when Warner Brothers, who still owned the land and the building itself, started planning to tear it down to put up a parking lot. But people flipped out, and they got the 1-2 star power punch of John Cusack and Christopher Lloyd to help with the cause. John Cusack, I still want to be in Back to the Future. I don't know if he was, but I feel like John Cusack would have killed to have been in Back to the
Oh
Future.
yeah, no, absolutely. He would have loved that paycheck.
They were helping the cause to get it made a landmark, which it didn't get, but it was eventually given historical status by the city of West Hollywood. But either way, those Warner Brothers backed off and the place was saved. for then. Kwon died in December 1993 and ownership passed to his grandson Vince Young, but this is the sort of place that doesn't last in modern Los Angeles, and in 2015 it was sold and closed for a complete remodeling that destroyed everything that was good about it. It made it into a sleek, well-lit, modern place that was all gray, did not look anything like the Formosa Cafe, and everybody hated it. So they closed it a year later, and things were not looking good, but then the saviors came in. It was snatched up in June 2017 by the 1933 group, who were already well respected for what they did to the Highland Park Bowl and the Idle Hour and the Bigfoot Lodge, and we're now going to pour all their efforts into bringing back the Formosa Cafe, and it worked. They painstakingly worked to restore every original thing they could, and if not, they got the next closest thing that they could. They researched old menus and pictures. They made replicas of what they saw or modern twists on them, but a lot of stuff is original because Kwon had saved a lot of the old artifacts in his day, and Young gave them access to all of these things. Other stuff is taken from the old storage in the Warner Brothers scenic department.
Really?
So it all has a tie to this past. The deep red booths and the wallpaper and the dramatic lighting, it's all back. The floor of the main bar uses the same type of tile as the Walk of Fame.
Oh, wow.
The back room was set up for special parties, complete with a rotary phone you can pick up to order drinks that come to you through a private window. You still might get some calls from Mickey Cohen. The 1933 group, named after the year Prohibition ended and because they focus mostly on bars, teamed up with the LA Conservancy to win $150,000 grant from the National Trust for Public Historic Preservation to revamp the old red car as well, which is now the oldest surviving red car and the last 800 series car in the entire world.
Wow, really?
I think they wanted to study another one or something that was in some museum, but it had like just caught on fire and burned down, so this is the only one left. An important part of the restoration also was connecting the place to its Chinese roots that were fake at first but became real later. The menu is now done by David Kuo, who runs Little Fatty, which is a Taiwanese Formosa place, but now there's a special room in there that's dedicated to the Chinese American history of Hollywood with a curated display of artifacts from that time. The literal bar in that room is also originally from the popular Yi Mi Lu bar in Chinatown, which closed in 1989, which in itself was actually a prop used in the 1937 movie of The Good Earth, which in itself was actually something that they brought over from China. So it's a pretty accurate, like, appropriating, but it becoming authentic. This all cost $2.4 million and reopened on June 28th, 2019, and I remember hearing that on the opening night, Jack Nicholson was sitting at the door greeting everybody who came in, which I'll always regret. Like, I don't even know if you could just walk in, but I heard that Jack Nicholson was like sitting on a stool by the door greeting you as you came in.
So weird.
This is one of those last few old LA restaurants left in town, and it's the kind of place where the bartender and the waitstaff have worked there for 50 years, and it should definitely be the next place on our old restaurant list, and I will be expecting my $3 change in the Clark Dable sexual harassment booth.
The Gable table?
I don't know why I always thought it was an Italian restaurant, because I can't picture all of these old, like, I can't picture Ava Gardner having Chinese food. From the outside, it looks like an Italian restaurant. Like, it's even red and green, and it, like, it has the, it might as well have, like, a meatball on the front of it. I didn't know what the inside, have you ever been there?
No, I haven't.
It looks really nice.
It does, yeah. I've seen pictures of it. Once they reopened it recently, a lot of, like, the people I follow would go there, and I'm like, oh, that's a cool spot where all the cool people are going. Oh, geez.
That's the next one.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Let's go there right now. No masks. No masks. I dare you. I dare you.
The next place I'm going to be talking about, one of the most beautiful places in South Pasadena, one of my favorite places when I'm driving anyone around, like, look, check this place. I'm going to be talking about the Rialto Theater in South Pasadena, 1019 and 1023 Fair Oaks Avenue. The same year the Aztec opened up, 11 miles away, another Route 66 monument opened its doors. The Rialto Theater opened up in 1925, and the first movie shown there was What Happened to Jones, starring actor Reginald Denny. The Rialto is a cousin to... 2
episodes in a row for him.
Yeah, I know. Different guy, same name. The Rialto is a cousin to 2 other important LA theaters, the Vista and the Alex in Glendale, both of which were opened within the same couple years of the Rialto. The Rialto was one of the many single-screen theaters opened by C.L. Langley, president of the West Coast Langley Theater Circuit. The same theater chain opened up the Alex, named after C.L.'s son, Alexander. Their theaters would share silent movies, plays, and vaudeville shows. West Coast Langley later became Fox West Coast Theaters, which is one of the biggest movie chains chains in Southern California for the next
the one
couple
in
decades.
San Pedro.
Yeah. The architect behind the Rialto was Louis A. Smith, who did many theaters for the West Coast chain. He designed the Vista Theater 2 years earlier. After the Rialto, he designed 2 more theaters in LA that were both eventually demolished. The Ritz Theater on Miracle Mile and the Beverly Theater in Beverly Hills. So the Rialto was commissioned by Langley, designed by Smith, and built by a man named William G. Reed in 1925. It cost $350,000 to erect. The Rialto stands as one of the best preserved theater of that original era. The Rialto opened in October, like I said, in 1925, and its gala opening, along with playing the Reginald Denny movie, they also had the world's premiere showing of a 1926 photoplay feature and 5 snappy vaudeville acts.
You keep really hitting the
vaudeville.
Vaudeville.
My big 3 sources on this are an LA Times article by Frank Chiong, the Friends of the Rialto website, which had a wonderful timeline that I used, and the nomination form for the National Register of the Historic Places, which if every building had this form online, it would save so much time, because they're just like, here's everything that's historic about it. Here's what the building looked like. It like saved the day. So the Rialto is a 2-story theater made of concrete, brick, and steel. Its face is covered in painted stucco with a terracotta roof. The Rialto's sign on the exterior that runs vertically is said to be the original. The style is Spanish Moorish, and above the marquee there's some like paired arched windows which lend itself to like a Moorish Art Deco look. On each side of the central bay is a storefront. When it first opened up, it was meant to have like accompanying stores on the storefronts. One of those eventually became the Rialto Sweeteria, which is a candy shop. Hello, there's no, I didn't find out too much about that. I also didn't find any pictures. There's just like word of the 20s that there was a candy shop right attached to it, pretty much.
If you want to go a little further down the street, you can get a great candy shop at the Raymond's, Fair Oaks, Gaskell's.
What's that, like a block or 2 away? Then I can't. I simply can't do it. The Rialto rates were 30 cents for general admission. Loges seats were 40 cents, and children under 12 only pay a dime.
12-bit kids can get in free.
What are you, a dime kid? 5 cents. The original marquee was a 2-line reader board, but it was replaced in the 30s by a 3-line, 3-faced neon Art Deco marquee because the movies in the 30s had more words than the titles, just like the movies themselves.
They weren't just called Faust. They were all called Faust.
Nosferatu, Faust, the Golem. What are we watching tonight? The theater was built to accommodate 1,300 attendees.
1,300?
Yeah, it's a big theater with room on the...
Hang on, there's robot boxing going on in my alley.
Chappie's over here.
Chappie's not a Chappie's a cop. I told you.
It can fit 1,300 people. There's like a ground floor, and then there's like the balcony. And the balcony is like massive.
So it's similar to the Alex Theater then. They have a balcony,
it's very similar. They're cousins.
Kissing cousins?
The interior has remained largely intact, and more of Smith's like Moorish design elements are used inside than outside. As the LA Times puts it, the interior is an irreverent mashup of Spanish Baroque architecture and Egyptian kitsch.
That's so funny that to throw the word irreverent followed by some of the least interesting words I've ever heard. It's a wacky mashup of whatever Ada kept telling me to say.
Baroque architecture and Egyptian kitsch. Abstract geometric design motifs. I'm getting better at it each time I say it. There's paintings all over the interior.
Advertising works.
Paintings all over the interior, but a Daily News article listed some of the things they saw in the paintings. On the lintel, there are some abstract patterns of leaves with a gargoyle mask with lighted eyes. A naked female torso with wings frames the organ chamber. An Egyptian...
Sure does feel my organ chamber.
And there's Egyptian-inspired winged sphinxes. All of these words are hard to say.
I mean, talk about irreverent.
Yeah.
None of these have anything to do with each other. There's also a wolf howling at the moon.
There's Little Red Riding Hood, but she's coming out of a McDonald's. Inside, there are rows of, like, crown molding that surround the first level of seating as well. Described as beautifully. I'm like, I don't know how beautiful molding is. There's Moroccan-influenced ceiling fixtures and a chandelier. Those are beautiful. There's also the gilded niches, which is like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like a little hanging decoration that protrudes out of the wall.
Like a sconce or something?
Yeah,
like that?
Exactly, yeah.
Sounds irreverent.
Sounds wacky.
That's rather irreverent.
The decorative art on the walls and ceilings are still there. The original red and gold house curtains are still there from the 1925.
Red and gold, that's nice.
That is nice, right? Also, because vaudeville was performed there, the stage is big, like 30 feet deep. And there's also dressing rooms and an orchestra pit, which is like my kind of theater, which has dressing rooms. How many comedy places have we done where there's a green room? I'm like, oh, green room. It's real now. I haven't been paid for this, but I'm a real performer now.
It's a designated place to freak out.
Yeah. We were at the Pack, and there was like the green room behind, but then we were still in that grimy-ass rat alley.
Yeah, because some other people... First off, I kept playing with the whip, and you told me to stop using the whip.
Yeah, I was begging you to stop using the whip because I knew you were going to hurt me or somebody else right before we went. I had to go on stage.
As I lassoed you by the ankles.
We were going to walk out, and I was like bleeding in the face. When the theater first opened, it would run movies all week, but with vaudeville shows on Thursdays and Sundays in addition to the movie. The Rialto stage was also the tryout area for new vaudeville talent for Fashon and Marco, who I guess were like famous at the time, or if they're not famous, they're at least working consistently. A lot of people were like Fanco and Marco.
The irreverent duo.
Fancho, by 1921, a couple years before they opened the Rialto, they were part of the Sunkissed National Tour with the Sunkissed Beauties. That's a title of another episode.
I told you I watched San Fernando Valley, which was a Roy Rogers movie, and first of all, never in the San Fernando Valley.
Yeah,
never, not filmed in the San Fernando Valley.
Really?
But they keep talking about, to go back to the San Fernando Valley. And the last 10 minutes is an extended dance sequence by Sunkissed of just like dancing oranges and people saying how great the San Fernando Valley is.
What were movies back then?
They were long commercials. Advertising works. And you would watch it over and over and over because it could fit on the marquee.
Sunkissed Beauties. I feel like bananas today. By the end of the 20s, vaudeville was replaced by twice-weekly live play matinees. But then vaudeville shows made a return in the 30s. Vaudeville would make a return in the 30s, but you won't believe who the Rialto got to be the musical conductor of all the live performances.
In the 30s,
live musical
Chopin.
theater. A.F. Frankenstein from the
God.
Orpheum. They stole him from the Orpheum.
I was thinking of Frankenstein, but I was like, nah.
It's too easy. They got A.F. Frankenstein from the Orpheum, and he was now working at the Rialto.
They didn't so much get him as he was chased out of the Orpheum, and he was allowed to work in the Rialto.
They set the Orpheum on fire, like, you looking for a new place? The Rialto had its own mighty Wurlitzer, an Opus 1142, which was there at the Rialto before they opened, like a month before they opened, and it was played during their opening night. It was later removed during a fire, and it was sold, and parts of it were scattered across the state. The council itself ended up in the South Pasadena Preservation Foundation.
Like dismantling a vampire?
God.
Burn the foot pedal.
It was donated later to the Friends of the Rialto in 2016. Mark Herman with the Los Angeles Organ Company graciously stored the console for them in May of 2020, which was this year. So the Wurlitzer is looking like it's going to start coming back into play. In 1929, the building closed down for 2 weeks to install state-of-the-art speakers to handle the new film phenomenon, talkies. So they spent $15,000 getting a Vitaphone, which is the disc part of that, and then the Movaphone, which is optical film sound synchronization. We're ready for talkies. Bring that Shirley Temple on.
Bring the Movaphone.
Yay, just in time to hear Hitler's speeches on the big screen, as shown in the
We'll hear this guy out.
Charlie Chaplin's not really handling comedy well anymore.
What's the punchline?
The first talkie shown at the Rialto was a movie called The Dummy. In the 1930s, there was a fire backstage. So, of course, Frankenstein ran. Not true, but there was a fire at the Rialto backstage. So they closed it for a few months to deal with that. And when they reopened, vaudeville and live plays closed, and they never came back. Fire purifies all. Around this time, the Rialto had a weird thing going on. So apparently, each year, when the Academy Awards were announced for the Best Picture of the Year, it was the movie that was already playing at the Rialto.
Wait, say that again?
So when the Academy Awards were announced for Best Picture of the Year, whatever the winner was the movie that was playing at the Rialto.
By coincidence?
By coincidence. No, they planned it. They paid the Academy to have it win so they can get movies. Yeah, by coincidence.
Look, you say that it might have been some sort of elaborate scam. I would not be surprised at all. For how many years was that?
I think, like they said, 4 to 5 years through the 30s. Come 1930, and the theater is bought by a man known as the Banana King because of his success in the fruit distribution business. This is Dominique Jabia, an Italian immigrant who amassed a fortune with bananas. He is known in local histories
as George of the Jungle.
So he bought, in San Fernando Valley, I think, he bought a ritzy country club called Midwick. Some say, the rumor is he bought it out of spite because the club members rejected his application for membership. And after a fire, the property was turned into single-family homes. Every country club must hate single-family homes. The Banana King maybe bought a country club because they wouldn't let him in. He says,
when you're the Banana King, what you say, banana goes.
I'm like, isn't that the name of the guy from the True Detective? But it's not.
The Banana King and the Pink Palace.
So anyways, this is the new owner. As it goes, we all know what the 30s means. The Great Depression. Everything slows down to a crawl. And by 1932, butts and seats dropped by 50% across the country. Theaters were closing in mass. The theater survives through it, though.
How are bananas doing?
That's all you can eat. Harry Belafonte wouldn't stop singing about them.
What Roy Rogers was to oranges, Harry Belafonte was to bananas.
Another fire hits the theater in 1971 and closes for a year. 1975, the Community Redevelopment Agency wants to rebuild downtown South Pasadena area. They want to put up like a business block, right? Like a mini mall kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So they want to tear down the Rialto to make way for 45 parking spaces. Knock down a beautiful historic theater for parking spaces.
It is
This
a lot
city
of
doesn't.
spaces.
This city doesn't deserve history.
We've covered 4 things, and 2 of them were almost turned
Almost
into parking lots.
spaces. It doesn't go through, obviously.
The city could have had 90 more parking spaces if we only didn't have the Formosa Cafe. Yeah.
If we knock down Griffith Observatory,
We can park all those buses that take people to the Griffith Observatory.
the parking lot thing doesn't happen. A couple years later, it was leased by Kim Jorgensen, owner of the Parallax Theater System, which eventually becomes Landmark Theaters, which is the art movie house chain. In 1978, the city council approves city landmark status, and Rialto joins the National Register of Historic Places.
Wow.
Same year as the Aztec, too. Yeah.
2 years.
2 of mine, yeah. People are still trying to knock it down through that, and the fight to preserve it really begins in the late 70s, just as they start showing Rocky Horror Picture Show. The Friends of the Rialto form as a committee in 1983, and they're really putting up a good fight. Around this time, the balcony closed, I think for good, and Landmark Theaters bailed out of the Rialto because of the popularity of videotapes. It struggles through the last few decades, and the last current running movie play there was the Simpsons movie in 2017. Although, I distinctly remember watching Rob Zombie's Halloween there, and it came out a month after the Simpsons movie, but maybe I'm remembering things
Did it
wrong.
win an Oscar that year, though?
Rob Zombie's Halloween won the Oscar.
Narrowly beating out the Simpsons movie.
Yeah. For the last showing for the Simpsons movie, it was said that only 200 people showed up, leaving about 800 empty seats. In the
Sad
theaters,
for the theater and for the
and the
Simpsons.
Simpsons movie. In the theater's last days, the Friends of the Rialto worked on trying to restore its decor. Volunteers restored murals, cleaned curtains, replaced light bulbs, and even held some events there. But despite this, the Rialto was run down and only loved by a few. Attendance through the years dwindled. In 2010, a chunk of the building fell onto the sidewalk, so they closed the building. They completely shuttered it for repairs. In June of 2014, the Jabia Family Trust began to accept bids for the property, and they received multiple offers for it, but because the Family Trust didn't set preconditions for the bid or sale, the new owner could really turn it into, and you can turn it into 46 parking lots if you parking spaces if you wanted to. The historic designation requires
Inflation.
owners what?
Inflation.
Yeah, we get one more parking space. Historic designation requires owners to keep historic properties in good condition and offers them some eligibility for grants and tax credits, but historical status doesn't restrict what type of business operates on that property, which is weird. It was bought by Isaac Shamoff, but he seems to have a good relationship with the Friends of Rialto. They gave him a tour, and he allowed them to hold 2 years worth of fundraisers there. Since then, the Friends of Rialto really been fighting to keep the theater alive. They keep having like live performances, variety shows, Broadway musicals, a classic movie screening with live musical accompaniment. Restoration is still needed, and the fundraising didn't really get enough money for the Friends to have a chance at like getting a lease or even significant repairs. In 2017, Shamoff signed a lease with the Mosaic Church Group to use the Rialto space. The Friends
That's
of
a really cool church.
churches and their endless amounts of money.
Have you heard the news? He has risen. Because there's a Mosaic in Hollywood, and I one time was there like on a Friday. I wasn't there, but I was driving by on like a Friday night, and it was as if it was like a mile down the street at one of the bars. There were so many young, cool people trying to get into this church. It was so weird.
It's very weird.
Yeah.
Nobody likes church, not even church. Not even God likes church. He doesn't show up.
Yeah. Where's he?
The Friends of the Rialto were working with the Mosaic Church Group on restoring the building and trying to get them to let the Friends use that for like different outside events. According to the timeline on the Friends of the Rialto site in 2018, they showed about 5 movies through the year, all classic movies: Back to the Future, Nacho Libre, La La Land, Ghostbusters, and Elf. In 2019, they showed The Notebook and Miracle on 34th Street. As of this year, if you want to call it a year, Shamoff says that he is handling the exterior renovation, and the Mosaic Church Group is responsible for the interior and other improvements. No word on what we could expect from this point, but the Rialto is still standing, which is, at this point, is something. It's a beautiful building, inside and out. Plenty of movies were filmed there. Kentucky Fried Movie. The
Really?
Phil Around sketch, where they 4D experience.
Oh, yeah.
That's the Rialto. Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Rocketeer, Radio Flyer.
Which also has sort of, I would assume, has sort of a feel around moment, and some of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies have a feel around moment.
The Player, The Thing Called Love. I thought it was called This Thing Called Love, but
I thought it was A Thing Called Love.
Scream 2 was filmed there. The Majestic, and most importantly, not because I love it, but because La La Land was filmed there, where they watched the movie together.
Oh.
The way that 500 Days of Summer had a bunch of people fetishizing Los Angeles, La La Land had the same thing. And so, because of La La Land, the Rialto became a tourist destination, as did many other landmark places in LA.
La La Land.
The exterior was used in Thriller, the music video.
I thought it was a thriller.
South Pasadena is a great place to walk around. I mean, you can hit the Rialto, the Fair Oaks Market, and Michael Myers' house in one walk. It's so beautiful and old. And if you give yourself enough time, you can see go to Gus's Barbecue for some of the best food I've ever had.
I think you're sponsored sponsored by Michael Myers' house and Gus's barbecue. I don't know where these back alley deals you're making without me.
Different crowds. The Rialto could have been 45 parking spaces and a ghost in old photos, but because people fought hard to preserve it, a piece of our history, we still get it. If you love the city and its history, you have to do those things. There are so many places in danger of becoming another Trader Joe's or 45 parking spaces, and we're responsible as LA people, as LA history people, to try to fight for them and trying to save them from big corporations who don't give a care about them. So let's save the Old Town Music Hall. Let's save Bob Baker Marionette Theater. Let's save Rockhaven. Also, let's fight for more police accountability and redistribution of funds.
Peace in the Middle East.
Let's save the post office.
Free Tibet.
Let's do it. We can do it.
I wonder if all these places that are like, we're going to turn into a parking lot, how about a compromise? Like if it's the Rialto Theater and they need to turn it into a parking lot, how about an indoor parking lot and you just take out the front, but like the structure is still there and you can park inside of it at the very least?
I mean, something.
If it's between that and like what we're sitting in right now, why not? Let's get to our last stop here. This one is quintessential Route 66.
Okay, hit me with it.
Get your damn wings off her, Biff, because nobody calls me Chicken Boy. This is the story.
That could have been the entire intro for this episode.
Oh, so now you're allowing me to do Back to the Future intros again?
If it's you just writing that
over?
4 lines.
So this is the story of one of LA's most beloved pieces of fine art and a great representation of Route 66 roadside eye-catching, the Chicken Boy statue.
Chicken Boy statue.
You might know it from Highland Park nowadays, but originally this thing sat on top of the Chicken Boy fried chicken restaurant. Do you know much about this Chicken Boy?
I've seen pictures of it. I know that it had a different head at some point.
No, it never had a different head.
It was always a Chicken Boy?
It was always a chicken. Well, look, you'll see. Spontaneously, I'll tell you. It was the Chicken Boy fried chicken restaurant on that old Route 66 road, Broadway, downtown between 4th and 5th at 450 South Broadway. They opened in the fall of 1969, but to grab people's eyes, they wanted to do something big. 22 feet tall to be exact, and made of fiberglass. It was originally one of the old muffler men that we talked about that was made by International Fiberglass in Venice, but the restaurant wanted to have something along the lines of the Tail of the Pup or Randy's Donuts or the Brown Derby that showed exactly what it was they were selling. I assume the Brown Derby sold hats. So they took the Muffler Man body and modified it to have a giant chicken head made of fence posts and chicken wire that was made separately by another artist, put on top, and instead of a muffler in his hands, it was a bucket of fried chicken.
It's pretty funny. You can't fix a car with that.
I'd like to see you try. Maybe a chicken mobile or something like that. Chicken Boy's first car. And let it be known, since he was made to be a muffler man, he's the buffest chicken you've ever seen. He's really so ripped. He's yoked. Chicken. Get it?
Yeah.
He was put on top of the restaurant towering over Broadway in September 1969 and helped peddle the Chicken Boy brand of fried chicken, which I hear specialized in a garlicky fried chicken, which I've heard was great. And I've also heard was terrible. Unfortunately, this place I never got to try closed in the fall of 1983 when the owner died. But for some strange reason, the statue of the Chicken Boy lived on. And that strange reason is a woman named Amy Inoue.
Okay.
You know her.
I do?
You don't know her, but I'm sure you've seen her name. I've seen her name every single time I do research for any episode. Like her name pops up.
Spell her last name?
Inouye. I might be pronouncing it wrong, which is why I call her Amy from now on. Yeah. That's probably a name, like as I said, a lot of people recognize because she's a local design artist who, among a lot of other things, has designed the covers for the books put out by Angel City Press.
Oh, okay.
She does all of those.
Those are really good covers.
She first moved to LA in the 70s to go to the Art Center College of Design, and when she came here, she found herself in a new, confusing city that wasn't always welcoming, but whenever she'd drive down Broadway, she'd always see the Chicken Boy, and it would always give her this kind of comfort. Like, it was weird, it was silly, and it was constant, so it became this sort of visual anchor in the middle of her day that she was, like, safe, or like she had a home in the city, and she saw it every day for years. But in the fall of 1983, she saw that the Chicken Boy restaurant had closed, and she started to get concerned over what was going to happen to the Chicken Boy himself. So she called the realtors listed on the building, and they said whoever bought the building would probably just destroy it because they were probably just going to tear down the whole building. And it's Los Angeles. We got to put a parking lot there.
We got to stack 2 different Trader Joe's on top. They're not related at all.
We're not going to save this like the Rialto. This was not something Amy wanted to hear. She kept calling about it to find out more information, and the construction team had no idea who she was or why she cared so much about this chicken boy. And eventually they were just like, if you want it so bad, come get it.
Wow.
And I don't know if they just gave it to her or she just paid a little bit of money, but now the chicken boy statue belonged to Amy as of May 4th, 1984. The problem was she now owned a 22-foot tall fiberglass statue of a buff-ass chicken human. Like, what is she gonna, what are you gonna do with this?
How do you haul it? Where do you keep it?
That was the problem. I guess her original thought was certainly a museum in town would want this. She ended up having it in storage for 23 years.
Oh my God.
Most of the museums didn't respond to her when she contacted them, and the rest said, this isn't art. We don't want this. So she thought maybe it would go nicely under the Triforium or at the metro, or at like a metro station. This could be like a display at the metro station. None of that happened. Meanwhile, the chicken boy started defining her life. Like, it consumed, she's an artist in her own right, but like her life started becoming chicken boy, and she was the chicken boy's mom. She's chicken mom. Everyone knew she had it, and it became her thing, and she fully embraced this. She started making chicken boy shirts to give out to her clients as holiday gifts, and then over the years she added chicken boy lapel pins, then watches, chicken boy watches, and then more and more things, and word got out of these and people started wanting to buy them, which was great because she had to pay for storing a 22-foot tall chicken for 23 years.
Yeah, that cannot be cheap.
Eventually, she made a mail order gift catalog of all of her chicken boy merchandise that had 14,000 subscribers at one point. One year, she decided that September 1st was now Chicken Boy's birthday, and some listing of annual events grabbed onto that and listed September 1st as National Chicken Boy Day.
Jesus.
And that was when radio shows started calling in to her artist studio on that day to fill time on the air with something weird. So this got more people aware of the existence of Chicken Boy, and then radio shows from out of state started calling in about it, which made even more people aware. And then Amy started getting calls from just random people asking for public viewings of Chicken Boy. Then others started calling saying, I'll volunteer, I'm willing to help clean it, I'll paint it, I'll restore Chicken Boy. And that's when it finally got enough sizzle behind it that Chicken Boy got called up to the big league. The Arco Plaza Underground Mall offered to display Chicken Boy, complete with a live radio broadcast of the unveiling. This lasted a couple weeks before they got sick of it, back to Amy's storage.
Oh my God.
So Chicken Boy is hidden again. It wasn't until 2007, 2 decades later, when Amy was looking for a new location for her future studio design and gallery, she finally found a building at 5558 North Figueroa in Highland Park that not only accommodated her gallery, but also had a roof that would be perfect for a chicken boy.
That's great.
It took winning a grant, selling merchandise, and money donated by the community, but on October 18th, 2007, Chicken Boy was up on top of a building once again for all the public to view. And being on Figueroa, he was once again back on Route 66.
Oh, right.
Chicken Boy is a serious local celebrity that has kind of gone global amongst weirdos. He's been profiled on British TV. He's been mentioned in Esquire and Newsweek. He's been on the front page of the Wall Street Journal.
Oh, my God.
There was a short film about him called Chicken Boy, a chicken with attitude, in which he comes to life and becomes a blues singer. There's a
just because you have muscles doesn't mean you have attitude. Let's just make that clear. You can be ripped and a nice guy.
Look at me. There's a mosaic on the sidewalk out front of Chicken Boy.
Jeez.
There's now Chicken Boy mugs, pens, patches, toothpick holders, a purse, a back scratcher, books, all of which you can buy online or in the gallery gift shop, which also has a little chicken museum in it. You can also go on the website and download a Chicken Boy membership card that you can print out and put in your wallet.
We got to do it.
It's pretty cool. He's become an icon of Highland Park, and according to Amy, at least, he's the Statue of Liberty of Los Angeles.
Yes, he has.
Give me your hungry. Give me your wings. Give me your nuggets. She won the Governor's Preservation Award for her work with him in 2010, and she plans to get him granted historical status as well. And people just have this sort of visceral reaction to Chicken Boy, which at first I thought was a little grandiose, but as I was reading it, I was thinking, oh my God, we're Chicken Boy. We're the little weird thing that can't find a home. And I'm sure I'm not the only one. The story of his saga has been too tall to live, too weird to die. And the best explanation Amy has given for why she went through, at this point, almost a 40-year-long relationship with this 22-foot tall modified muffler man is the same justification anyone could use for why we keep the tradition and memory of Route 66 itself going all these years after it's been deemed obsolete.
Yeah.
It's fun.
It's fun.
That's the only explanation she has. It's fun and she likes it.
There are no better reasons to do something.
No, there isn't.
Yeah, it's fun and it's dumb and I like it.
That's Chicken Boy. And
Love
that's Route
Chicken Boy.
66.
I'm listening to you tell a story and I'm realizing Chicken Boy wasn't always in Highland Park.
Yeah, he
Why
was
do I
there.
remember him being there when I was a kid? He clearly was not.
I mean, 13 years ago, what were you, like 60? Oh, burn! That's the Tood.
Dude, I was just talking about.
See, I told you.
To which I refer.
The Tood to which I refer. You know, I don't think I've ever seen Chicken Boy, or maybe I have and didn't understand what I was looking at.
That day, we probably saw him that day that we were driving around for take a walk and we're looking at all the
We
murder
must
spots.
have. I must have
Because
seen
we walked,
Chicken
we
Boy.
stopped we were on Fig.
Yeah.
In Highland Park. Fig Road. That's my Tood. Shortening word.
Street Tood.
Yeah, Street Tood.
I can't wait till it's safe again because I want to go in that gift shop and just buy a ton of stuff.
Me too. I want to buy that. You said lapel pin. I'm like, oh goodness gracious me.
When I'm at the next gala, Route 66, it's fun.
Yeah,
I like
a lot
Route
of fun.
66. I'd love to drive it.
Me too. Maybe when the world goes back to normal.
When these trying
it's
times
all
are over. When we can be one again. When we can just be a family.
Yeah, when I drove to Amboy, I was really like, oh, I want to. The worst part of a road trip is turning around and coming back home. I just want to keep going forever and never come back home and just be a man who lives on the road, like Mark Twain doing his comedy tour.
A road and a river.
Let's do it.
Here's something for you to do. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or whatever, wherever you listen. You can, on Apple Podcasts, if you have an iPhone, open it up, you're logged in, and just leave some stars. It helps us make us more visible, get us more attention, which is
What separates us from Alberta Sistos is that we need the attention and
we
praise.
crave being number one.
We crave being in front of people, not being funny in front of people. I love it. I cannot get enough of not being funny.
I can't wait to hear the silence again. Let's end coronavirus so I can be shunned. Follow us on Twitter, like we Instagram, Facebook, and all that. Support us on Patreon. You can be talked about incessantly like we did with Alberto Sistos and Tyler.
Hi, Tyler.
Hi, Tyler.
Bye, Tyler.
You're dead now, Tyler. Yes, so support us on Patreon. For $1, you can just support us. You'll be mentioned. For $5 or more a month, we can send you handwritten postcards every single month. I'm starting to print my own also because I can't buy postcards anywhere. But one guy just will not make a drawing that I want him to do, so I can print more postcards in batch.
You want me to do it?
I kind of do.
I could do it in crayon. Those are fun, right? My way to get past everything is to make it cute how dumb I am. And people are like, oh, he's so charming. But really, I'm just dumb. And I know how to play it to my advantage.
I'm dumb and I got Tood. If you want to submit, like we said, a listener question or just any comments to tell us how much you love intros, send us an email at la.meekly@gmail.com. Don't say a word. Don't even open your... Don't give me that.
It. My chest is getting hot if I hold it in.
Okay, so yeah, Route 66.
Let's do it.
It really... let's just keep repeating that. This is the perfect time to have an RV because I don't want to stop in a hotel anywhere. I don't want to use bathrooms, but if I had an RV and I could just...
The camper people are really loving this.
Route 66 sounds like a great trip right now.
Yeah.
Although it's not really, though, because you can't really stop at all the places.
Yeah.
One day. Yeah, it's weird to think that it is a part of Los Angeles. Like, it doesn't fit the... I don't know. LA almost has like a too cool attitude for that, which it's really not.
It's really not. The thing that really makes LA stand out is our embracing of Chicken Boy. It's the third largest city in America, and we're like, Chicken Boy? Is that Chicken Boy? We're different than New York.
Like I said, as I was reading, I was like, come on, the Chicken Boys. But like the more I think about it, like I really like Chicken Boy. I like everything Chicken Boy stands for.
I want to go to the gym, and they're like, so who are you trying to model your body off of? And I just hold a picture of Chicken Boy. I can get you the body, but the head's a little different.
We're going to need a lot of chicken wire for this. So yeah, everybody have a nice August. It's probably going to be miserably hot, and you're all going to be forced inside. Keep staying safe if you are one of the people who is staying safe. If you're not one of the people who's staying safe, you're the reason I can't see my newborn nephew.
Wear a mask. Let's cancel rent.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
The Route 66 motto. Let's do it. Don't die. Let's end this. Let's be smart about this. The mayor's horrible. I can't stand him anymore. Yeah. And I hate every organization in the city. But other than that, have a nice August, and we'll see you in September. We'll make the standard joke of wake me up when September ends.
No, we won't. We
August
did it.
rush
so
jokes.
good you did it now, so we don't have to do it later.
You're the one that always does it. I'm the August rush guy. So yeah, everybody, we'll see you in a month's time. That's been yet another episode of L.A. Meekly, complaining that we have too many parking spaces already when we're desperate to find parking spaces to record in nowadays. Since 2013.
Since quarantine started.
Since 20 quarantine.